Have you ever felt like you are walking through a dense fog where the sound of the world becomes a muffled hum and the path forward is not a line, but a question mark? You place one foot in front of the other, not out of certainty, but out of habit. A silent momentum carrying you through days that blur into one another. You perform the rituals of your life. You achieve the goals you were told to desire. You collect the artifacts of a successful existence. Yet, in the quiet moments, in the space between the last task of the night and the first breath of sleep, a profound sense of dislocation arises. A quiet, persistent whisper that asks, "Is this all there is?" It is the feeling of being a stranger in your own life story, an actor who has forgotten their motivation, speaking lines written by a society that is itself lost in the same fog. You are not broken, you are not flawed. You are simply beginning to awaken to the great emptiness that haunts a world obsessed with filling every space with noise, with things, with doing. This feeling is not a curse, it is a summons, a call to return home. So for a moment, let us step out of that fog together. Not to fix what is wrong, but to discover what has always been right, what has always been true. I invite you now, not to a destination, but to a space. Imagine a quiet, ancient room, untouched by the frantic pace of the world outside. The air here is still and cool. There are no windows, no doors to the outside world. The only light comes from a single steady flame, burning in the very center of the room. This is the laboratory of the soul, the alchemical chamber of consciousness. And that flame, that solitary dancing light, is your own awareness. It has always been here, waiting for you. This journey we are about to embark upon is not about building a bigger fire or a brighter one. It is about learning to sit with it, to tend to it, to understand its nature, and in doing so, to understand your own. It is the art of becoming the keeper of your own inner flame, learning that with its light, all things can be seen, and all things can be transformed. As you sit here in the stillness of this inner room, before the steady flame of awareness, you begin to listen. You listen not with your ears, but with your entire being. You expect silence, a deep and profound quiet. But that is not what you hear. The first thing you discover in the sanctuary of the self is that you have brought the noise of the world in with you, not the noise of traffic or television, but a far more persistent, far more intimate clamor. It is the relentless echo of your own mind, a voice that never stops speaking, a cascade of thoughts, judgments, memories, and worries that tumbles through your consciousness without pause. It is a chamber of echoes where old words, old feelings, old fears rebound endlessly off the walls of your skull. Listen closely. Is that voice truly yours? Or is it the ghost of your mother's anxieties, your father's expectations, the taunts of a childhood bully, the impossible standards of a photoshopped world? The mind, in its default state, is a curator of second-hand information. It is a magnificent biological machine designed for survival, and its primary function is to create meaning by referencing the past. It chews on what has been to predict what might be, a ceaseless process of comparison and calculation. This mechanism was once essential for survival in a dangerous world, but now, in a world of relative physical safety, the machine has not switched off. It has simply turned its focus inward, analyzing every social interaction, replaying every mistake, projecting 1,000 possible future failures. It has created a phantom world, and it populates this world with the ghosts of yesterday and the monsters of tomorrow. This constant stream of thought is the source of the fog. It is the architect of the prison you did not know you were in. The conflict, the deep inner friction you feel, is born from this. There is a part of you, a deep, silent core, that yearns for peace, for stillness, for the clarity of the present moment. It is the part of you that is drawn to the flame in this quiet room. But there is another part, the conditioned mind, the ego that is terrified of silence. It finds its identity in the noise. It believes it is the noise. Who would I be without my worries? Who would I be without my stories of past injustice or future glory? The ego equates silence with annihilation, and so it fights. It fights to keep the chatter going, to keep you distracted, to keep you identified with the endlessly spinning narrative. This is the struggle between the desire for freedom and the comfort of the familiar cage. The noise is exhausting, but it is a known exhaustion. The silence is a relief, but it is an unknown relief, and the mind fears the unknown above all else. It clings to its painful stories because a known pain feels safer than an unknown peace. It will tell you that this practice of observation is pointless, that you have more important things to do, that your thoughts are uniquely complex and require urgent attention. It will do anything to keep you engaged in its drama, to keep you looking at the echoes on the wall. Here is the first great truth of this alchemical journey. You are not the voice in your head. You are not the thoughts that stream through your awareness. You are the awareness itself. You are the silent, changeless space in which those thoughts appear and dissolve. This is the most crucial shift in perspective you will ever make. Imagine your consciousness is the vast, open sky. Thoughts, feelings, and sensations are the clouds. Some clouds are white and fluffy, beautiful to behold. These are your happy thoughts, your moments of joy and inspiration. Some clouds are dark and heavy, pregnant with rain and thunder. These are your fears, your sorrows, your anger. For your entire life, you have been taught to believe you are the clouds. When a dark cloud appears, you say, "I am sad." When a happy cloud passes, you say, "I am happy." You have identified so completely with the weather of your mind that you have forgotten the sky that holds it all. But the sky is not the clouds. The sky is not afraid of the storm. The sky is not damaged by the lightning or drenched by the rain. The sky does not cling to the beautiful sunset clouds, trying to prevent the night from coming. It simply allows them all to be. It is the vast, silent, allowing container for the entire drama of the weather. The clouds are transient. They come, they take a form, they drift, and they dissipate. But the sky remains. Your essence, your true self, is the sky. The thoughts are just weather passing through. The profound liberation in this realization cannot be overstated. When you stop identifying with the thought, you reclaim your power. The thought is no longer you, it is simply a thought. It loses its gravitational pull. So how do we practice this? How do we begin to disentangle ourselves from a lifetime of identification? It begins not with a fight, but with a simple, gentle act of observation. The invitation is not to stop your thoughts. That is impossible, and the effort to do so only creates more mental noise, another layer of conflict. The invitation is to simply watch them. Become the scientist of your own inner world. Sit for just 5 minutes today. Set a timer, close your eyes, or keep a soft gaze, and do nothing. Simply allow the mind to do what it does. And as the thoughts arise, as they inevitably will, just notice them. You don't need to analyze their content. You don't need to follow them down their rabbit holes. You simply acknowledge their presence. You can even label them, gently, in your mind. A thought about work appears. You label it, thinking. A worry about a loved one comes. You label it, worrying. A memory from 10 years ago surfaces, remembering. This act of labeling creates a tiny space between you, the observer, and the thought, the observed. In that space, freedom is born. In that space, you remember you are the sky, not the cloud. Do not be discouraged if your mind seems to race even faster when you first do this. That is normal. It is like a wild animal that is not used to being watched. It becomes agitated. Just continue to sit. Continue to notice. The goal is not a blank mind. The goal is a mind that is seen. Over time, as you practice this non-judgmental observation, something miraculous begins to happen. The gaps between the thoughts start to widen. You begin to experience moments of pure, silent awareness. These moments may be fleeting at first, but they are potent. They are a taste of your true nature. You are returning to the silent room, to the steady flame. The echo chamber of the mind is like a room lined with mirrors. Your entire life, you have been staring at the reflections, believing they are real. You have been captivated by the beautiful ones, terrified of the distorted ones, and endlessly trying to rearrange them to create a more pleasing collage. The practice of observation is the act of finally looking away from the reflections and noticing the room itself. You become aware of the space, the silence that holds all the mirrors, and you realize that the reflections have no substance on their own. Their power comes only from your attention, your belief. When you withdraw your belief, the reflections may still appear, but they are rendered transparent. You see them for what they are, ephemeral images, echoes of light, with no power to define you. The great work has begun. You have taken the first step in melting down the old structures of the mind, not through force, but through the gentle, unwavering heat of your own conscious attention. You are learning to be still, and in that stillness, to hear the silence that was there all along, waiting patiently beneath the noise. As you begin to distance yourself from the relentless stream of thought, as you start to recognize the space between the clouds and the sky, an inevitable and profound question emerges from the newfound silence. If I am not my thoughts, then who am I? This question is the gateway to the next layer of the alchemical process, for in asking it, you turn your awareness towards the very architect of those thoughts, the central character in the drama of your mind, the entity you have called I for your entire life. This structure is known as the ego. Let us not treat this word as an accusation, but as a simple descriptor for a complex mechanism. The ego is the story of you. It is a carefully constructed identity, a mosaic self, pieced together from a lifetime of experiences, beliefs, and labels. It is the voice that says, I am a parent, I am an artist, I am a survivor, I am not good enough, I am better than them. It is a persona, a mask worn for so long that you have forgotten it is a mask. Imagine this ego as a mirror, but not a clean single sheet of glass. It is a mirror that has been shattered into thousands of pieces and then painstakingly glued back together. Each shard represents a fragment of your past. One piece is the reflection of your mother's praise. Another is the sharp, cutting edge of a teacher's criticism. A large, prominent piece might be your professional title, while a dark, murky one is a secret shame you carry. A bright, polished shard is the love you received, and a jagged, broken one is the love that was withheld. You hold up this shattered mirror to the world, and it is this fragmented reflection that you have come to believe is your face, yourself. Because it is a mosaic, the image it reflects is distorted, incomplete, and inherently unstable. It needs constant maintenance. It fears any jostling might cause a piece to fall off, leaving a terrifying void. This is why the ego is perpetually hungry. It needs external validation to feel whole. It feeds on praise, recognition, and agreement, using them like glue to patch its cracks. And it recoils from criticism, disapproval, or being ignored, as these feel like blows that threaten to shatter it completely. This is the source of so much human suffering. We are living as this fragile, cobbled-together identity, perpetually outsourcing our sense of self-worth to the unpredictable world. A compliment can send us soaring. An insult can plunge us into despair. Our inner state becomes a puppet, and the strings are held by the opinions of others, the numbers in our bank account, our successes, and our failures. The inner conflict is immense. There is the deep, soul-level desire for authentic peace, for a sense of value that is unconditional and unshakable. And then there is the ego's desperate primal scream for validation. The desire to be free from the exhausting performance of being somebody clashes with the terror of being nobody. We want to put the mirror down, but we are terrified that if we do, we will cease to exist. We have mistaken the reflection for the reality. We have forgotten who is holding the mirror. The ego's very existence depends on the illusion of separation. It creates the boundary between me and not me. It lives in a world of comparison. It can only define itself by measuring against others. Smarter than, less successful than, more spiritual than, less enlightened than. Without this constant measuring, this othering, it has no reference points. It dissolves. And so its primary activity is judgment, both of itself and of the world, to maintain this fragile sense of a separate, defined self. Here is the next great alchemical secret. The ego is not your enemy. It is a tool that has mistaken itself for the master. It is a necessary stage of human development, like the shell of a seed. The shell is needed to protect the kernel as it grows, but a time comes when, for the kernel to sprout, the shell must break. To try and violently kill the ego is a misunderstanding born from the ego itself. It is another form of conflict, another war within. The path of the alchemist is not one of destruction, but of loving, clear-eyed awareness. The goal is not to shatter the shattered mirror, but to simply see it for what it is. The goal is to shift your identity from the reflection in the mirror to the one who is holding it. You are not the collection of stories. You are the silent presence that is aware of the stories. The work is to gently, patiently, put the ego back into its rightful place as a functional tool for navigating the world, not as the tyrant of your inner kingdom. It is a shift from being possessed by your persona to consciously wearing your persona. You need your name, your skills, your memories to function in this world, but you no longer need them to define your essential worth. So how do we practice this disidentification? We begin by observing the ego in action, especially during moments of emotional charge. The next time you feel a strong reaction, a flash of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic, a sting of shame when you are criticized, a flush of pride when you are praised, pause. Instead of being swept away by the emotion, bring a sliver of your awareness to an inner inquiry. Ask a simple, silent question. Who is it that feels this? Who exactly is feeling offended? Is it the vast, silent sky of your true nature? The sky feels no offense. Or is it a specific, fragile piece of the mosaic mirror? The piece labeled, I am a competent person, or I am a respectful driver. When you feel pride, ask, who is it that feels proud? Is it the boundless self, or is it the little me that craves to be seen as special? This simple question is an immensely powerful tool. It does not deny the feeling, it honors it by bathing it in the light of awareness. But it stops the automatic process of identification. It creates a space. You shift from being the character in the play to also being the audience, watching the character's reaction with a gentle, curious compassion. You start to see the mechanics of the ego. You see its fears, its needs, its predictable patterns. You see it not as a monster, but as a frightened child, desperately trying to feel safe and significant. And as you watch it without judgment, its grip on you begins to loosen. You are no longer its slave. You are its gentle, wise caretaker. This is the transformation of lead into gold. The heavy, reactive, fragile ego, when seen with awareness, becomes the raw material for wisdom, compassion, and true inner freedom. You are not destroying the mirror. You are simply stepping out from behind it to finally see the world and yourself with your own eyes. As we stand back and observe the shattered mirror of the ego, we must ask a crucial question. Where do the shards of this mirror come from? They are not created in the present moment. They are mined from the vast, deep quarry of the past. The ego, our sense of a separate self, is built almost entirely from the material of memory. It is a house constructed with the bricks of yesterday's triumphs and the mortar of yesterday's pains. To continue our alchemical work, we must now turn our attention to this quarry. We must understand the nature of the past and the immense, invisible gravity it exerts upon the present. The past is not merely a collection of stories we tell ourselves. It is a living, energetic field that permeates our being. Every unresolved emotion, every trauma that was too overwhelming to process, every word of forgiveness left unspoken, does not simply vanish with the passage of time. It congeals. It becomes trapped within our energy system, stored in the cellular memory of our bodies. This accumulation of old, unprocessed pain forms what some have called the pain body. It is a dense, heavy field of energy that functions like a gravitational force, constantly pulling our consciousness back into old patterns of thought and feeling. This gravity of the past is why change feels so difficult. You may make a conscious decision to be different, to be happier, to react less, but you find yourself pulled back into the same emotional orbits, time and time again. A situation in the present, even a minor one, can trigger this dormant energy, and suddenly you are not a conscious adult in the present moment. You are a hurt child, a rejected teenager, a betrayed partner. The old emotional charge hijacks your nervous system, and the past plays itself out through you, a ghostly reenactment. This is the nature of the past's hold. It functions like an anchor dropped from the ship of your awareness into the murky depths of what has been. Your ship may be seaworthy, the winds of opportunity may be blowing, but you cannot sail forward because you are tethered to a history that you are unknowingly dragging along with you. This creates a profound inner conflict. The conscious mind, the thinking self, says, "Let it go. Move on. It's over." We give ourselves logical reasons why we should not feel this way anymore, but the trapped emotional energy in the body does not speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of sensation and vibration. And so a war ensues within us, a draining battle between the mind's desire to move forward and the body's insistence on holding on to the unresolved energy of what was. We even find a strange and perverse comfort in this anchor. The ego finds identity in its wounds. The story of what happened to me can become a central pillar of our persona. I am a survivor. I am one who was wronged. To forgive, to truly let go, can feel like a betrayal of that identity. It can feel as if we are saying that the pain did not matter. We hold on to anger thinking it punishes the other person, but it is we who drink the poison. We replay our own mistakes endlessly, believing that this self-flagellation is a necessary penance, while all it truly does is deepen the grooves of the old neural pathways, strengthening the chains that bind us to our past self. This is the illusion. We believe the past is a fixed, solid reality that has power over us. But here is the radical truth that can set you free. The past does not exist. It has no reality, no substance, no power, except for the reality and power that you give it right now, in this present moment. It exists only as a thought in your mind or as an energetic echo in your body. That is all. You cannot travel back in time to change the event, but you have absolute, total power to change its effect on you in the only moment that ever exists, the now. Liberation is not an act of erasing history. It is an act of reclaiming the energy that has been trapped within it. The alchemical process for dissolving the past's gravity is not to fight it, analyze it, or ignore it. It is to feel it completely without the story. When a painful memory or a familiar wave of old sadness, anger, or fear arises, the conditioned reflex is to either dive into the mental story associated with it, replaying the drama, or to immediately suppress it, distracting yourself with work, food, or entertainment. The alchemical path is the third way. It is the way of pure presence. The invitation is this: the moment you feel the emotional charge begin to rise, deliberately withdraw your attention from the thoughts in your head, from the why and what happened. Instead, bring your full, curious attention into your physical body. Ask yourself, where do I feel this emotion as a pure, physical sensation? Is it a tightness in my chest, a hollow ache in my stomach, a burning in my throat, a heavy pressure behind my eyes? Locate the epicenter of the sensation. Do not label it sadness or anger, just feel it as raw energy. Is it hot or cold? Is it vibrating or still? Is it sharp or dull? Once you have located it, your only task is to be with it. Breathe into it. Imagine your breath is carrying warm, liquid light and direct it towards the location of the sensation. Do not do this with the intention of making it go away. This is crucial. Your intention is simply to be with it, to give it the accepting, loving attention it has never received before. You are not trying to fix it. You are allowing it to be. Hold it in your awareness as you would hold a small, crying child. You wouldn't yell at the child to stop crying. You would simply hold it, providing a safe, loving space for its pain to be expressed. Do the same for your inner energy. Surround the sensation with your silent, compassionate presence. When you do this, something profound happens. The energy, which was frozen in time by resistance and suppression, begins to thaw under the warmth of your awareness. It may intensify for a moment, and that is okay. It is a sign that it is beginning to move. And as you continue to hold it in this accepting embrace, without a story attached, the trapped energy completes its life cycle. It rises, it crests, and it dissipates. It is finally metabolized by your consciousness. Think of your life force as a river. Every unresolved emotional event is like a patch of that river that has been frozen solid. Your body can be full of these frozen pockets, making the flow of life energy sluggish and blocked. Your focused, loving attention is the sun. The sun doesn't fight the ice. It doesn't chip away at it with a hammer. It simply shines on it. And with its steady, gentle warmth, the ice naturally melts and rejoins the flow of the river. This is the work of true forgiveness and release. It is a non-mental process. You are releasing the past, not from your mind, but from your body. With each pocket of old energy that you allow to thaw and flow, the anchor gets lighter. The gravity of the past lessens its pull. The memories may still exist as data in your brain, but they will have been stripped of their emotional charge. They become scars, not open wounds. They are reminders of where you have been, but they no longer dictate where you are going. You are pulling the anchor up, link by link, not by force, but with the gentle, inexorable power of your own presence. And for the first time, your ship is free to catch the wind of the now and sail into the vast, open ocean of your potential. Having lifted the great heavy anchor of the past, you might expect the ship of your awareness to feel light and free. But the mind, in its restless habit, rarely settles in the calm. Once it is untethered from what has been, it swings like a pendulum to the other side, to the vast, formless expanse of what is yet to come. If the past is the anchor that holds us in a prison of regret, the future is the shimmering mirage that keeps us chasing an illusion of relief. We escape the gravitational pull of one ghost, only to be seduced by the siren song of another. This is the second great escape from the only reality that ever is, the now. We must now turn our full attention to this grand and subtle deception, the illusion of tomorrow. The mind is a prediction machine, and its gaze is perpetually fixed on the horizon. It scans the future for two things: threats to be avoided and promises to be fulfilled. This creates the twin states of anxiety and desire, the two primary modes of future-oriented living. Anxiety is the misuse of imagination. It is the act of building detailed, intricate dioramas of disaster in your mind, and then emotionally inhabiting them as if they were real. You rehearse failure. You practice arguments that may never happen. You feel the sting of losses that have not occurred. Your body, unable to distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and an actual one, floods with stress hormones. You live in a state of low-grade, chronic fight or flight, your nervous system exhausted from fighting phantom tigers. The other side of this coin is desire, or longing. This is the creation of a fantasy future where everything is finally perfect. It is the "I will be happy when" syndrome. I will be happy when I get the promotion, when I find a partner, when I lose the weight, when I retire. We construct a mental paradise and then use it as a yardstick against which the present moment is measured and found wanting. The present becomes nothing more than a tedious waiting room, a necessary obstacle to be endured on the way to the real destination where life will finally begin. Both anxiety and fantasy, though they feel different, are born from the same root, a profound unwillingness to be where you are. They are both a rejection of the now, and in rejecting the now, you reject life itself. This creates a deep and persistent inner conflict. There is the practical necessity of planning for the future, what we can call clock time. It is useful and necessary to set an alarm, to make an appointment, to save for a goal. But we so easily slip from this practical clock time into the bottomless pit of psychological time. This is where we live. We don't just set the goal, we obsess over it. We attach our entire sense of worth to its achievement. We suffer in advance for its potential failure. This creates a constant, humming restlessness within us, an inability to simply be. Try to sit quietly for just 2 minutes and watch the mind's frantic pull toward the future. What do I need to do next? What if this happens? What if that doesn't happen? The peace of the present moment feels threatening to a mind addicted to the stimulation of a problem to be solved, a future to be secured. It finds a strange security in its anxiety, a sense of purpose in its striving. To simply be here, now, without a future to chase or a problem to fix, can feel like a kind of death to the ego. And so it resists, it squirms, it pulls you out of your own life and into a mental concept of a life yet to be lived. Here is the truth that will dismantle this illusion. Your power is not in the future. Your power is exclusively and completely in the present moment. The future is an effect, and the cause is generated now. The quality of your future is determined by the quality of your consciousness in this very moment. A peaceful future cannot be born from an anxious present. A joyful future cannot be built upon a foundation of dissatisfaction. By constantly projecting your energy and attention into an imaginary tomorrow, you are draining the vitality from the only point where you can actually create change. You are planting seeds for a future harvest, but you are refusing to water the soil today. The great paradox is that the more you try to secure the future, the more you miss the present. And in doing so, you create a future that is just as empty as your present feels. The only way to ensure a better future is to give up the need for one, and to inhabit this moment so completely, so fully, that it becomes an end in itself. The present moment is not a bridge to a future destination. It is the destination. How then do we practice this return? How do we pull our awareness back from the mirage on the horizon and find the oasis at our feet? We use the body and the senses as our anchors. The mind can travel through time, but the body exists only in the now. When you find your mind racing with worries about tomorrow, bring your attention firmly back into your physical form. Feel the weight of your body on the chair or the ground. Feel the texture of the clothes against your skin. Press your fingertips together and feel the sensation of touch. Wiggle your toes inside your shoes. This act of sensory engagement yanks your awareness out of the abstract realm of future thought and grounds it in the concrete reality of the present. Next, use your ears. Listen. Don't just hear the obvious sounds, but listen to the entire symphony of the now. Listen to the hum of electricity, the distant traffic, the sound of your own breathing. Listen without labeling or judging. Just receive the raw data of sound. This pulls you out of the mind's narrative and into direct experiential reality. Then, ask yourself the most powerful question to dismantle future-based anxiety. When your mind presents you with a terrifying what-if scenario, stop, take a deep breath, and ask, in this exact moment, right now, stripped of all my stories about the future, is there a problem? Am I okay? Right here, right now. In 99.9% of cases, the answer will be yes. Right now, you are breathing. Right now, your heart is beating. Right now, you are fundamentally safe. The suffering is not in your reality, it is in your mind's projection onto reality. The tiger is not in the room, it is on the screen of your mind. By repeatedly asking this question, you train yourself to distinguish between the actual, tangible present and the imaginary, conceptual future. You see the illusion for what it is. The future is like a section of a river downstream, hidden around a bend. You are in your boat here. It would be absurd to try and steer your boat in a part of the river that you cannot see and that does not yet exist for you. Your only task, the only intelligent way to navigate, is to handle the currents and rocks that are right here, in this section of the river, with as much skill and presence as you can muster. If you do that, you will be perfectly prepared for the bend when you reach it. By obsessing over the bend, you are likely to crash on the rocks right in front of you. Stop chasing the mirage. Let it dissolve. The fulfillment it promises is a lie. The true spring of living water is not out there tomorrow. It is right here, within you, now. And it has been waiting patiently for you to stop, to kneel down, and to drink. After you have practiced loosening the grip of the past and releasing the chase of the future, a new kind of space begins to open up within you. It is the space of the present moment, clear and uncluttered. At first, this space can feel unfamiliar, even intimidating. It is like stepping from a crowded, noisy room into a vast, empty cathedral. The sudden absence of noise is itself a sound, a presence. This presence is silence, and learning to listen to it, to inhabit it, is the next essential stage in our alchemical journey. We live in a civilization that is terrified of silence. We have become experts in the art of filling every void, every spare moment, with noise. We wake up to the sound of an alarm. We listen to news while we eat breakfast. We plug in headphones for our commute. We work in bustling environments, and we unwind by flooding our senses with television, music, or the endless scroll of social media. We have become compulsive consumers of distraction, addicts of stimulation. This is not an accident. This deep, collective fear of silence is a defense mechanism of the ego. The ego thrives on doing, on thinking, on becoming. It needs constant input and output to maintain its sense of a solid, continuous self. Silence is a threat to this project, for in true deep silence there is nothing for the ego to do. There are no problems to solve, no opinions to form, no one to impress. In the stillness, the carefully constructed walls of our persona begin to feel transparent. The unresolved emotions we have suppressed with busyness begin to stir. The profound, uncomfortable questions about our life's meaning, which we have drowned out with noise, begin to whisper from the depths. Silence is the great truth-teller, and so we run from it. We prefer the familiar chaos of the mind to the vast, unknown territory of the heart. This creates a powerful inner conflict. A part of you, the soul, the essence, deeply craves the peace and rejuvenation that only silence can bring. It longs for a respite from the relentless demands of the world. But the conditioned mind, your ego, rebels. The moment you decide to be quiet, it unleashes a storm of restlessness. Your leg begins to twitch. 1,000 important things you suddenly need to do pop into your head. The urge to check your phone, to send one more email, to just turn on some background music becomes almost irresistible. This inner fidgeting is the ego's panic attack. It is terrified that if the noise stops, it will stop. It is fighting for its own perceived survival. You must see this conflict not as a personal failure, not as a sign that you are bad at meditating, but as the perfectly normal resistance of a mechanism that is being asked to surrender its power. Your task is to simply notice this resistance with the same calm awareness you have brought to your thoughts and emotions. Here is the radical secret that transforms this struggle. Silence is not empty. It is not a void or a nothingness. It is fullness itself. It is the plenum, the primordial ground of all being from which every sound, every form, every thought is born. Think of it as the canvas. You look at a great painting, and you are captivated by the colors, the shapes, the figures. You might forget that none of it could exist without the silent, unassuming canvas underneath. The canvas doesn't scream for attention, but it is the essential, foundational reality. Silence is the canvas of existence. All the noise of the universe is just paint splashed upon its infinite surface. We have spent our lives being obsessed with the paint, forgetting the canvas that makes it all possible. The answers you have been desperately seeking in the noise of self-help books, spiritual podcasts, and endless thinking are not to be found in more words. The answers are woven into the very fabric of the silence that those words break. The universe does not shout its secrets, it whispers them in the stillness. How do we begin to cultivate this art of listening? We start by creating small, intentional islands of silence in the ocean of our noisy days. This is not about making a dramatic lifestyle change overnight. It is about reclaiming small territories. Take a 5-minute walk without your phone. Drive to the store without the radio on. Drink your morning coffee and do nothing else but feel the warmth of the mug and taste the liquid. Eat one meal a day in total silence, bringing your full attention to the act of nourishing your body. These small islands become your sanctuaries. They are training grounds where you slowly acclimate yourself to the feeling of stillness, proving to your nervous system that silence is not a threat, but a deep and profound nourishment. As you become more comfortable with external silence, you can begin a more subtle practice, listening to the silence between the sounds. When you are in a room, shift your attention from the objects, the chair, the table, the lampshade, the space between the objects. Do the same with your hearing. Instead of focusing on the sound of a ticking clock, listen to the quiet space between each tick. When you listen to music, listen for the pause between the notes. That is where the artistry lies. When you are observing your mind, listen for the gap between the end of one thought and the beginning of the next. This subtle shift in perception is profoundly transformative. You are learning to attune your awareness to the background, to the context, instead of the foreground, the content. The ultimate practice of this is to listen to the stillness within your own breath. At the very peak of your inhalation, there is a point of absolute stillness before the exhale begins. And at the very bottom of your exhalation, there is another point of stillness before the next breath is drawn in. These 2 points are gateways into pure being. They are portals into the silent, timeless dimension of your own consciousness. Think of the ocean. The surface can be chaotic, with waves crashing, winds howling. This is the surface of your life, the thoughts, the emotions, the daily dramas. But if you dive just a few feet beneath the surface, the chaos begins to fade, the noise becomes muffled, and if you could dive to the depths of the ocean, you would find a world of immense, powerful, absolute stillness. It is not a dead stillness. It is a stillness that is profoundly alive, teeming with unseen life. Your consciousness is like that ocean. The practice of listening to silence is the art of learning to dive. You are diving beneath the turbulent surface of your thinking mind to discover the vast, living silence of your own soul. This silence is your ultimate refuge. It is the home you have been searching for all along. It will heal you, restore you, and speak to you in a language your mind cannot comprehend but your heart understands perfectly. Stop trying to figure it all out. Just for a moment, stop and listen. As you learn to sit in the quiet cathedral of the self, as you become accustomed to the silence, you will inevitably discover what you have been hiding there. The silence is not a sterile void. It is a fertile ground from which all things, suppressed and forgotten, can arise. What often emerges first is not bliss, but discomfort. The raw, unprocessed energies of your life will come forth to be seen. The shadow of a lurking anxiety, the sting of an old resentment, the dull ache of a deep-seated sadness. Your first instinct, the deeply conditioned reflex of the ego, will be to recoil, to label these feelings as bad or negative, to push them back down into the cellar of the unconscious, and to run back to the noise of the world. This moment is a critical turning point in your journey, for here you are introduced to the most potent and transformative agent in the entire alchemical laboratory: acceptance. The vast majority of human suffering is not caused by the events of our lives, but by our resistance to the events of our lives. It is not the pain that causes the deepest suffering, but our argument with the pain. A situation arises. You are stuck in traffic. You receive a criticism. You feel a wave of jealousy. The situation itself is neutral. It is a fact, but the mind immediately overlays it with a judgment, a story, a war. This shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be here. They shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't feel this way. These 4 words, "this shouldn't be happening," are the source of a private, inner hell. They represent a fundamental declaration of war against reality. Each time you think or feel them, you are creating a state of internal friction, a violent opposition between your idea of how life should be and how life actually is. This resistance is a contraction. It is a clenching of your psychic and physical fists against the flow of existence, and it is utterly, profoundly exhausting. This creates an immense inner conflict. A part of you, the ego, believes that resistance is strength. It believes that to fight, to complain, to rage against reality is to be powerful, to be in control. It thinks that if it just resists hard enough, reality will bend to its will. To surrender, to accept what is, feels like defeat. It feels like weakness, like giving up. This is the ego's greatest lie. Your resistance changes nothing about the external reality. The traffic does not magically clear because you are angry, but it changes everything about your internal state. It fills you with the toxic energy of bitterness, frustration, and helplessness. The alchemical path requires a radical reversal of this instinct. It requires the understanding that true power does not lie in fighting reality, but in aligning with it. This is acceptance. Let us be perfectly clear about what acceptance is and what it is not. Acceptance is not passive resignation. It is not apathy. It is not condoning harmful behavior in yourself or others. It is not saying that you like or want what is happening. Acceptance is the simple, courageous, and deeply sane act of acknowledging what is true in this moment without argument. It is the cessation of the inner war. It is looking at the rain and saying, "It is raining," instead of shouting at the sky, "You shouldn't be raining." The moment you cease your argument with reality, a profound shift occurs. You stop leaking your vital life force into a futile battle. The energy that was bound up in resistance is suddenly freed. And only from this state of inner peace and clarity can wise, effective action be taken, if action is needed. You cannot find an intelligent solution to a problem when your entire being is consumed by the fire of resistance. First you accept, you find your center, and then you act. This is why acceptance is the true fire of alchemy. Resistance is like trying to change a lump of raw metallic ore by smashing it with a hammer. All you do is create more jagged, sharp, and painful pieces. Acceptance is the crucible. It is the unwavering, intense heat that surrounds the ore. The fire does not fight the ore. It simply holds it in its fierce, loving embrace. Under this steady heat of accepting presence, the ore begins to melt. Its rigid structure dissolves. And in this molten state, the impurities, the slag which is your story about the event, your judgment, your resistance can be separated from the precious metal, the gold of wisdom, peace, and grace that is hidden within every experience. The experience itself is not the lead. Your resistance to it is the lead. Your acceptance of it is the fire that reveals the gold. How do we practice this in the heat of the moment? We start with a simple internal mantra. When you feel the familiar clenching of resistance arise, when you hear the voice in your head saying, "I can't stand this," pause, take a breath, and say silently to yourself, "This is as it is, right now," or "I allow this to be here." You are not saying you like it. You are simply dropping the argument. You are acknowledging the reality of your present experience. Feel the shift in your body as you say this. Another powerful practice is to visualize yourself in a tug of war. You are on one end of the rope, and your problem, your anger, the traffic, your fear is on the other. You are pulling with all your might, straining every muscle. The tension is immense. You are locked in the struggle. As long as you are pulling, you are tied to the problem. Acceptance is the act of simply dropping your end of the rope. The struggle is over in an instant. The problem may still be standing there, but you are no longer bound to it. You are free. This practice applies most profoundly to our inner world. We spend so much energy resisting our own feelings. We feel anxious, and we immediately become anxious about being anxious. We feel sad, and we judge ourselves for not being happier. We have a war not only with the world, but with ourselves. The ultimate act of self-love is to turn the fire of acceptance inward. When anxiety arises, can you allow it to be there? Can you drop the rope and simply feel the raw, physical sensations of anxiety in your body without the second layer of judgment? Can you say, "Anxiety is present right now. I allow it to be here"? When you do this, you are no longer at war with yourself. You are holding your own inner state with the same compassion you would offer to a frightened child. And just like the ore in the crucible, the feeling, when met with the unconditional warmth of your acceptance, begins to melt. It loses its solidity, its power. It transforms from a terrifying monster into a simple, flowing energy that can move through you and release. The thing you fight, you strengthen. The thing you accept, you transcend. This is the secret law of alchemy. You become a master alchemist, not when you have a life free from difficulty, but when you are no longer in resistance to the life you have. You willingly place the lead of your daily frustrations, your deepest fears, and your greatest pains into the crucible of your own heart, trusting that the steady flame of your acceptance will reveal the gold that was always there, waiting to be discovered. As you practice placing the raw ore of your experience into the alchemical fire of acceptance, you may begin to wonder, who is it that does the accepting? To handle this fire, to stand firm in the crucible of transformation, you must find solid ground. A place within you that is not burned by the heat, not swayed by the turmoil. This ground, this sanctuary, is the discovery of the silent watcher. Within the vast expanse of your consciousness, there exist two fundamental dimensions. The first is the dimension of form, of content. This includes your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your physical sensations, the entire drama of your personal history and future projections. This is the dimension of constant change, of arising and passing away. The second dimension is that of formlessness, of context. This is the awareness itself, the silent, changeless space in which all the content of your life unfolds. For most of our lives, we are completely identified with the first dimension. We believe we are our thoughts, we are our emotions, we are actors lost in the play, convinced we are the character we portray. The spiritual journey, the great work of alchemy, is the process of shifting our core identity from the content to the context. It is the monumental rediscovery that you are not the drama. You are the space in which the drama occurs. You are this silent watcher. This silent watcher is the part of you that has been here all along, observing every moment of your life without judgment. It was there when you were a child, experiencing joy. It was there during your moments of deepest sorrow. It is here now, aware of these words, aware of the screen of your mind, aware of the feeling in your body. This awareness is not a thought. It is the light that illuminates the thoughts. It has no opinion, no history, no agenda. It is pure, silent, knowing presence. This realization often brings forth a subtle but powerful inner conflict. The habit of a lifetime is to fuse with our experiences. The moment anger arises, the mind declares, "I am angry." The moment sadness appears, "I am sad." The practice of the watcher introduces a revolutionary syntax. I am aware of a sensation of anger arising. I notice a feeling of sadness is present. Can you feel the profound difference? In the first statement, you are the anger. In the second, you are the awareness that holds the anger. This subtle shift is a seismic event for the ego. The ego, the shattered mirror self, needs to be the star of the show. It thrives on drama and identification. The silent watcher is a threat because it is outside the ego's domain. It cannot be manipulated or controlled. It is inherently free, and so the ego resists, trying to pull you back into the story, back onto the stage, back into the frantic dance of identification. Herein lies the secret to indestructible peace. Your ultimate sanctuary is not a physical place, nor is it a future state of mind where you have no more problems. Your ultimate sanctuary is the seat of the silent watcher, right here, right now. This is the eye of the hurricane. The storms of life loss, conflict, illness, uncertainty will always rage. That is the nature of the dimension of form. To seek a life without storms is a futile endeavor. The work is not to stop the storm, but to find the place of absolute stillness at its very center. This center is your own awareness. By learning to rest your attention here, as the watcher, you can allow the winds of thought and the rains of emotion to blow and pour with their full intensity, but they will not touch you. You remain in the calm, quiet center, observing the magnificent and terrible power of the storm without being swept away by it. This is not a state of dissociation or numbness. It is a state of profound engagement with life from a place of unshakable stability. So, how do we cultivate this ability to rest as the watcher? We begin with a gentle daily practice. Let us call it the 10% awareness technique. As you go about your day, whatever you are doing, dedicate a small fraction of your attention, just 10%, observing your own inner state. If you are in a conversation, 90% of your focus is on the other person, on listening and speaking, but you reserve a sliver of awareness, that 10%, to remain anchored within. It is a background process. You are simply noticing, here I am, speaking. I feel a tension in my shoulders. I notice an emotion of excitement arising. If you are washing the dishes, 90% of your attention is on the task, but 10% is on the feeling of the warm water on your hands, the rhythm of your breath, the quiet presence of your own being. This is not a strenuous effort, it is a light, background hum of self-awareness. At first, you will forget constantly. That is part of the practice. But each time you remember, you are strengthening the muscle of presence. You are building a neural pathway back to the seat of the watcher. Another powerful practice can be done in meditation. Close your eyes and imagine you are sitting in a dark, comfortable movie theater. You are the sole member of the audience. The screen in front of you is your own mind. Now, allow the movie to play. Whatever thoughts, worries, or memories arise, project them onto the screen. Watch them as you would watch a film. A scene of a past mistake plays out. You watch it with gentle curiosity. A trailer for a future worry begins. You observe its dramatic soundtrack and tense plot. You see the characters, your ego, the people in your life playing their parts. But you remain in your seat. You are the audience. You are not in the movie. You are safe in the dark, silent theater. The fire on the screen cannot burn you. The ocean on the screen cannot drown you. You can watch the most terrifying horror film or the most heart-wrenching drama, and when it is over, you can stand up and walk away untouched, because you know it was just a projection of light on a screen. Your mind is that screen. Your thoughts are that movie. You are the silent, watching presence. This leads us to the most profound understanding. You are not the actor on the stage of life. You are not even the audience member watching the play. You are the silent, aware space of the theater itself. The stage, the actors, the lights, the sound, the entire production of your life is happening within you. The space of the theater is never disturbed by the play. It does not judge the villain or applaud the hero. It simply allows the entire drama to unfold within its silent, loving embrace. Without the empty space of the theater, there could be no play. You, as that silent, conscious space, are the fundamental reality that makes all experience possible. By returning to this realization, by learning to rest as the silent watcher, you find the only true freedom there is. It is the freedom of being in the world, but not of the world. It is the ability to feel everything, to love fiercely, to live fully and courageously, because you have discovered the indestructible, peaceful sanctuary within you that is your truest home. As you become more established in the seat of the silent watcher, your perception begins to refine. You notice not only the passing clouds of thought and emotion, but also the subtle, energetic landscape of your own body. From this quiet, observant space, you may begin to sense areas of density, of tension, of numbness. A chronic tightness in the jaw, a persistent ache in the shoulders, a knot of dread in the stomach. These are not random physical discomforts. They are the physical archives of your unlived life. They are locations where pure, life force energy has become trapped, frozen, and stagnant. Every time you have swallowed your anger, choked back your tears, suppressed a joyful impulse, or held back a word of truth, the energy of that experience did not simply vanish. It had to go somewhere, and it went into the body. It became lodged in your muscles, your fascia, your very cellular structure, creating energetic dams in the flowing river of your being. Your body is a river system through which the vital energy of life called prana, or keys, meant to flow freely, nourishing every part of you. When this flow is unimpeded, you feel vibrant, creative, and resilient. But each act of suppression builds another dam. The energy behind the dam becomes stagnant, murky, and toxic, leading to feelings of heaviness, fatigue, and depression. And the areas of your life downstream from the dam become arid and lifeless, starved of the energy they need to flourish. Your body is the most honest historian you will ever have. It keeps a perfect score of every experience the mind has tried to rationalize, deny, or forget. These energetic blockages are the root cause of so much of our chronic malaise. We are living in bodies that are choked with the residue of unprocessed life. This recognition brings us face to face with a deep inner conflict, one that is programmed into us from our earliest years. From childhood, most of us were taught that the full expression of our emotional energy is unacceptable. We were told, "Don't cry, control your anger, calm down." We learned that expressing these powerful energies could lead to punishment, ridicule, or the withdrawal of love. And so we learned to suppress. We became masters of constriction, experts at holding it all in. Now, as an adult, there is a part of you, the body, that is crying out for release. It wants to shake, to tremble, to scream, to weep, to let the river flow. But there is another part, the conditioned mind, that is terrified of this release. What if I start crying and I can never stop? What if I let my anger out and I hurt someone or become a monster? What will people think? This is the conflict between the soul's desperate need for energetic hygiene and the ego's fear of losing control. Here is the essential truth you must embrace. Energy is not good or bad. It is just energy, and it must move. Stagnant energy is the only bad energy. The act of releasing this trapped force is not about losing control. It is a sacred, intentional, and necessary act of purification. It is about creating a safe and deliberate container for the release to happen, so that it does not fester inside you and explode uncontrollably in a moment of stress, harming you and those around you. Think of your body as a pressure cooker. Life builds up steam. You have a choice. You can learn to open the safety valve intentionally in a controlled way, or you can wait for the inevitable explosion. The work of unleashing trapped energy is learning how to skillfully and safely open the valve. This work requires different approaches for different kinds of energy. Let us first address the hot, intense energies like anger, rage, and frustration. These energies need a powerful physical catharsis. This is not an act of violence against another. It is a gift of release you give to yourself. Find a private space where you will not be disturbed or judged. Take a pillow or a cushion. Hold it to your face and scream into it. Scream out all the frustration, all the no's that you have swallowed. Let the raw, guttural vibration move from your belly, up your throat, and out into the pillow. Feel the release. Another powerful practice is to use physical force on an inanimate object. Kneel on your bed and pummel the mattress with your fists. Beat it with all your might. Let the energy travel down your arms and out through your hands. Or put on some intense, rhythmic, powerful music and dance. Not a structured dance, but a wild, primal, abandoned movement. Stomp your feet, shake your limbs, let your body move in any way it wants to, for as long as it wants to. This is not about looking good. This is about shaking the stagnant energy loose from your cells. I give you full permission to be undignified, to be primal, to be loud. This is your healing. Next, there are the cool, implosive energies, like grief, sadness, and hurt. These require a different kind of release, one that is more about flow than force. One of the most sacred practices is to simply allow yourself to cry, fully and completely, without a story. When you feel a wave of sadness, don't try to get over it. Find a safe space and give yourself permission to weep. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a form of liquid alchemy. They are your body's way of physically releasing old pain. Let the sobs rack your body. Let your face be messy. Just let the river flow until it naturally subsides. Another powerful tool is uncensored journaling. Take a pen and paper and just write. Don't worry about grammar or coherence. Write down the ugliest, pettiest, most painful thoughts. Give a voice to the parts of you that are never allowed to speak. No one ever has to see it. The act of moving the energy from your mind, down your arm, and onto the page is a profound form of release. Finally, speak the unspoken. Set up an empty chair in front of you and imagine the person or situation that is the source of the trapped energy. And then speak. Say everything you never got to say. Yell, cry, whisper. Unburden your throat of the weight of those unsaid words. By engaging in these practices, you are becoming an active participant in your own healing. You are honoring the wisdom of your body and clearing the channels for life to flow through you more freely. You are dynamiting the dams, and when the river begins to flow again, it is powerful. The release can be intense, but on the other side of it is not chaos, but clarity, lightness, a newfound vitality. You are not becoming a more volatile person. You are becoming a cleaner, more honest, energetic vessel. You are taking responsibility for your own inner state, purifying your system so that you can hold more light, more peace, and more love. This is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice of hygiene, like bathing or brushing your teeth. It is the essential work of clearing the vessel to prepare it for the profound transformations that are still to come. Now that we have begun the sacred work of clearing the dams, of unleashing the stagnant energy trapped within our bodies, the river of our being begins to flow once more. At first, this flow can feel powerful, even chaotic, like a spring flood. The next stage of our alchemical journey is to learn the nature of the river itself, to embody its wisdom, to become one with its current. Our next great teacher is the element of water. It will teach us the supreme power of fluidity, adaptability, and the profound art of letting go. The conditioned mind, the ego, is inherently rigid. It is a creature of structure, of certainty, of control. It builds intricate blueprints for how life should unfold, how others should behave, and how we should feel. It creates dams of expectation, canals of planning, and levees of dogma, all in a desperate attempt to force the wild, unpredictable river of life into a straight and manageable channel. This rigidity is a defense mechanism. It is born from a deep fear of uncertainty, a terror of the fundamental impermanence of all things. A fixed plan feels safe. A guaranteed outcome feels secure. And so, the ego clings to its structures with a white-knuckled grip. The primary source of our daily frustration, disappointment, and anger is the friction generated when the fluid, ever-changing reality of life collides with the rigid structures of our mind. A plan is cancelled, and the mind rages because its blueprint has been violated. A person acts in a way we don't expect, and we feel betrayed because they have deviated from the script we wrote for them. We try to force a desired outcome, pushing and striving, only to be met with resistance and obstacles, leaving us feeling exhausted and defeated. Think of a mighty oak tree in a hurricane. It stands tall, strong, and rigid, a testament to its power. But when the wind's force becomes too great, its very rigidity becomes its undoing. It cracks, it splinters, it shatters. Now, consider the slender reed or the bamboo by the riverbank. It does not resist the wind. It yields. It bends, dancing with the gale, sometimes bowing so low it touches the ground. But when the storm passes, it rises again, unharmed. The ego teaches us to be the oak. The universe teaches us to be the reed. This is the inner conflict. The ingrained belief that strength is resistance versus the dawning wisdom that true power lies in surrender. Here, we must understand the profound meaning of letting go. In the language of the ego, letting go sounds like failure, apathy, or resignation. This is a misunderstanding. The surrender that water teaches is not a passive giving up. It is an active, intelligent, and strategic yielding to a greater force. It is the wisdom of the sailor who cannot control the wind, but can skillfully adjust their sails to harness its power. Our intention, our desire, is the rudder of our ship. The ever-changing winds and currents are the flow of life itself. The rigid mind insists on locking the rudder in one position and then cursing the wind for not blowing in the right direction. The fluid mind, the mind of water, keeps its hand on the rudder but constantly, skillfully adapts to the flow, using the very forces that would seem to oppose it to gracefully navigate toward its destination. Letting go does not mean abandoning your destination. It means releasing your rigid attachment to the one single path you believe will get you there. Water is the ultimate master of this wisdom. It is the softest, most yielding substance in nature, yet it is responsible for carving the Grand Canyon. Its power is not in force, but in persistence and adaptability. It never argues with an obstacle. When it meets a boulder in its path, it does not try to smash it, it simply flows around it. It finds the path of least resistance. It takes the shape of whatever contains a cup, a vase, a river bedand, yet it never ceases to be water. It loses its form, but never its essence. This is the model for our own consciousness. Can we learn to meet the obstacles in our lives, not with brute force and frustration, but with a clever, yielding grace? Can we flow around the difficult person, the unforeseen circumstance, the closed door, trusting that another path will open? Can we adapt to the changing containers of our lives, a new job, a lost relationship, a different phase of life without losing the essential truth of who we are? We can begin to practice this art in the laboratory of our daily lives, starting with low-stakes scenarios. The next time a minor frustration occurs, you are sent the wrong coffee order, your internet connection drops during an important call, someone cuts you off in traffic, notice your habitual, rigid reaction. Notice the tightening in your body, the inner monologue of, "This is wrong, this shouldn't be happening." Then, consciously choose to practice being like water. Take a breath, soften the clenched muscles, and ask yourself, okay, this is what is happening now. What is the path of least resistance? How can I flow with this? Perhaps it means gracefully accepting the wrong coffee order. Perhaps it means taking a few deep breaths instead of fuming in traffic. This is not about being a doormat. It is about choosing your own inner peace over the ego's need to be right. Each time you do this, you are dissolving a little bit of your inner rigidity and cultivating a greater capacity for flow. A powerful visualization for this practice is the open hand meditation. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Now, bring to mind something you are desperately clinging to, a goal, an expectation, a desire for a specific outcome. In your mind's eye, visualize yourself holding this thing in your fist. Clench your hand as tightly as you can. Feel the tension in your fingers, your wrist, your forearm. Feel the strain, the desperate need to control, to not let it go. This is the energy of the rigid mind. Now, very slowly, deliberately, begin to open your hand. Finger by finger, release the grip. As your palm opens, see your desire resting there, lightly, freely. It has not flown away. It is still there. But you are no longer strangling it. You are holding it with an open palm of trust, offering it to the universe. Feel the wave of relief that washes over your body as you release the tension. This simple act is a powerful prayer. It says to the universe, "This is my intention, but I trust in your greater wisdom. I surrender my timeline. I surrender my need to control. I am open to this, or something even better." You are aligning yourself with the flow, not fighting it. To embody the wisdom of water is to live with less friction, less stress, and more grace. You learn that not every battle needs to be fought, that sometimes the most powerful move is to yield. You develop a deep, inner trust that even when life doesn't go according to your plan, it is going according to a greater plan. You stop trying to swim upstream against the current of your own life and instead learn to turn, float, and allow that current to carry you toward a destination more magnificent than your rigid mind could have ever conceived. You are no longer the brittle oak bracing for the storm. You are the river itself, ancient, patient, and powerful, knowing that no obstacle can truly stop you, for you will always, eventually, find your way to the sea. Having learned to embody the wisdom of water, to flow with the currents of life and release our rigid grip on control, we find a new sense of grace and ease. But this is only one half of the alchemical dance. To mistake the surrender of water for a final destination is to risk drifting aimlessly, becoming passive driftwood on the river of life. The river flows, but the conscious creator must also learn to steer their vessel. To complement the yielding feminine power of water, we must now invoke its partner, the active masculine principle of fire. This is the fire of pure will, of focused intention, of unwavering self-discipline, and of intentional action. While water teaches us to flow around obstacles, fire teaches us how to generate the heat that can transform them completely. In our inner world, this fire is the antidote to the cold, damp inertia of procrastination and aimlessness. Many of us find ourselves in a state of paralysis. We have dreams, we have goals, we know what we should be doing, yet we remain stuck, scrolling through our phones, delaying the start, waiting for a mythical wave of inspiration to carry us forward. This state is often mislabeled as laziness. It is not. It is a symptom of a weak or diffused inner fire. It is the result of a profound disconnection from our why and a deep-seated fear of the discomfort that accompanies all meaningful growth. We wait for motivation to act, failing to realize the fundamental law of inner alchemy. Action is not the child of motivation, it is the parent. This gives rise to one of the most common and draining inner conflicts: the battle between the comfort of the now and the promise of the future. The part of you that wants to grow, to create, to become healthier and stronger, is at war with the part of you that craves immediate gratification and the path of least resistance. This conditioned self, your ego, is a master of justification. It will tell you, you're too tired today, you can start tomorrow, you deserve a break. It seeks the dopamine hit of distraction over the deep, lasting fulfillment of disciplined effort. And so we live in a state of quiet self-betrayal, constantly breaking the promises we make to our higher selves, which erodes our self-respect and weakens our will over time. We want the results of discipline, but we are unwilling to embrace the process. Here, we must radically reframe our understanding of discipline itself. We have been taught to see discipline as punishment, as a grim, joyless restriction of our freedom. This is the ego's propaganda. The truth is that discipline is the highest and most potent form of self-love. It is the declaration that your future self is more important than your impulsive present self. It is the act of honoring your own potential. Every time you choose the discomfort of a workout over the comfort of the couch, you are saying to yourself, I love you enough to give you the gift of health. Every time you sit down to write, to paint, to build your business when you don't feel like it, you are saying, I love you enough to give you the gift of a fulfilled dream. Discipline is not a cage. It is the key that unlocks the cage of your own apathy and mediocrity. Your will is the spark. But a spark on its own is fleeting. It can ignite nothing without kindling and fuel. Discipline is that fuel. Discipline is the practice of consistently showing up, of adding another log to the fire of your intention, especially on the days when it is cold and raining and you can't see the flame. This is how you build a bonfire from a single spark. This is the focused, intentional fire of the alchemist. While water allows us to accept the raw ore of our experience, fire is the directed heat we apply to melt it down, to purify it, to shape it into something new. An unfocused fire is a forest fire, a destructive force that rages out of control. A focused fire is a forge, a creative force that can shape steel. Your disciplined attention is that forge. So how do we begin to build this inner fire, especially when the spark feels weak? We start by making the act of starting ridiculously small. The ego's resistance is proportionate to the size of the task. If you tell yourself, "I have to write a book," the resistance will be immense. The task is too daunting. Instead, you make a new rule. I only have to write one sentence. Anyone can write one sentence. The resistance is bypassed. But the magic is this. Once you have written one sentence, the inertia is broken. The fire has its first piece of kindling. Often, that one sentence will become a paragraph, and that paragraph a page. The same principle applies to anything. Commit to meditating for just 1 minute, to doing one push-up, to reading one page. The goal is not the initial output. The goal is to cast a vote for your new identity. Each tiny, disciplined action is a declaration. I am the kind of person who shows up. Momentum is built not through giant leaps, but through the accumulation of 1,000 small, consistent steps. You must burn this into your mind. Act first. The feeling will follow. Do not wait to feel inspired to create. Create, and inspiration will find you working. Do not wait to feel energetic to exercise. Exercise, and you will generate energy. This is not a platitude. It is a law of your inner physics. To fuel this fire for the long term, you must connect your actions to a purpose that is deeper than a surface-level goal. Ask yourself, why? Why do you truly want to get in shape? Is it just a number on a scale? Or is it to have the boundless energy to chase your grandchildren across a field, to feel the profound dignity of a strong and capable body, to live a longer, more vibrant life? Why do you want to finish your project? Is it for the money or accolades? Or is it to finally give form to the unique gift that only you can offer the world? This deep, resonant why is the heartwood of your fire. When the winds of doubt and exhaustion blow, it is this why that will keep the embers glowing. The ultimate mastery of the alchemist lies in the sacred dance of fire and water. It is knowing when to be water, to surrender, to accept the things you cannot change, to flow with grace. And it is knowing when to be fire, to act with focused discipline, to assert your will, to create change where change is possible. The person who is only water is passive. The person who is only fire is brittle and burns out. The conscious creator is both. You learn to listen to the flow of the river, and then you ignite the fire of your will to skillfully navigate its currents. You are the yielding and the determined, the accepting and the creative. You are the river, and you are the forge. This dynamic balance is the engine of true and lasting transformation. Having learned to dance with the fluidity of water and the focused intensity of fire, we have begun to master the dynamic energies of creation and surrender. But for this dance to be sustainable, for it to not spiral into chaos, it must happen on a solid stage. A blazing fire needs a hearth to contain it. A flowing river needs banks to guide it. The alchemical process requires a vessel that is strong, stable, and resilient. We now turn our attention to the foundational element upon which all transformation is built, the element of earth. This is the principle of grounding, of steadiness, of unwavering presence in the body and in the world. There is a common and dangerous pitfall on the path of self-discovery. In our desire to connect with higher states of consciousness, with spirit, with the formless, we can begin to resent the world of form. We can see our bodies as dense, cumbersome vehicles, our daily chores as meaningless distractions, and the physical world itself as a prison to be escaped. This leads to a state of being ungrounded. We become spacey, lost in abstract theories, floating in a sea of spiritual concepts, but unable to manage our finances, maintain healthy relationships, or care for our physical well-being. This is a form of spiritual bypassing, using the language of transcendence to avoid the messy, challenging, beautiful work of incarnation. It is an attempt to fly to the heavens without first growing roots into the earth. This creates an inner conflict between our desire for transcendence and our soul's deep need for immanence. It is the war between wanting to escape the body and the fundamental truth that we have chosen to be here, in this body, on this planet, for a reason. We yearn for a weightless, frictionless existence, yet our deepest growth comes from navigating the very friction and weight of this earthly plane. To deny the body, to deny the earth, is to deny a vital half of our own nature. It is to reject the sacred vessel that has been given to us for this alchemical experiment. You cannot conduct the experiment if you are constantly trying to float away from the laboratory. The core message of the earth element is this: true spirituality is not an escape from the world. It is the full, courageous inhabitation of the world. It is not about leaving the body behind, but about bringing the light of your consciousness fully down into every cell of your body. The ultimate symbol for this is the great tree. We admire its towering branches, its leaves reaching for the sun, and we see this as a metaphor for our spiritual aspirations. But we forget that this magnificent upward growth is only possible because of an equally vast and powerful root system, unseen, burrowing deep into the dark soil. The tree's stability, its nourishment, its very life, comes from its connection to the earth. The deeper the roots, the higher the branches can reach. Without strong roots, the first great wind will topple the tree. You are that tree. Your spiritual insights, your creative passions, your connection to the divine are your branches. Your grounded presence in your body, your connection to this planet, right now, are your roots. One cannot exist without the other. Grounding, therefore, is not a mundane or unspiritual practice. It is the most sacred and essential foundation for any lasting growth. So how do we cultivate this earthy stability? We begin with the most direct and literal method. We make contact with the earth itself. In our modern lives, we are often insulated from the planet. We live in insulated houses, travel in insulated cars, and walk on concrete, our feet encased in rubber-soled shoes. We have lost our direct electrical connection to the planetary body. The practice of earthing is a simple remedy. Whenever possible, take off your shoes and stand barefoot on the grass, on the soil, on the sand. Feel the cool, solid reality of the planet beneath your feet. You are standing on a living being. Allow the frantic, excess electrical energy of your anxious mind to discharge down through your feet into the vast magnetic field of the earth. Allow the calm, steady, slow vibration of the planet to be drawn up into your body. Touch a tree, lie on the ground. This is not a metaphor. It is a real, physical exchange of energy that calms the nervous system and brings you back into your body. Beyond this literal connection, we practice grounding by cultivating embodied awareness. It is the simple act of bringing your attention back into the physical sensations of the now. As you listen to these words, feel your body. Feel the weight of it in your chair. Feel the points of contact, the pressure, the temperature. Feel the solid fact of your own physical presence. You are here. You are embodied. You can practice this with any mundane task. When you wash the dishes, don't let your mind wander to 1,000 other places. Feel the warmth of the water on your hands, the smoothness of the ceramic, the texture of the sponge. Turn the task into a meditation on physical reality. When you eat, eat. Taste your food. Feel its texture in your mouth. By bringing your full, conscious presence to these simple, earthly activities, you are weaving your spirit into the fabric of your physical life. You are anchoring your awareness in the here and now. Finally, connect with nature, not just as a scenic backdrop, but as a living intelligence. Spend time in a forest, by a lake, in a garden. Don't just rush through it for exercise. Be still. Notice the intricate patterns on a leaf. Watch the slow, determined progress of an ant. Feel the sun on your skin and the wind in your hair. You are a part of this web of life, not separate from it. By consciously connecting with the natural world, you are connecting with the deepest, most authentic parts of yourself. You are remembering that you belong here. Think of your body and your nervous system as the alchemical vessel itself. The intense energies generated by the practices of fire and water require a strong container. If your vessel is weak, cracked, and ungrounded, these energies can feel like too much. They can manifest as anxiety, sleeplessness, or a feeling of being psychically blown open. Grounding is the process of firing your clay pot in the kiln. It is what makes your vessel strong, solid, and capable of holding the immense power of transformation without shattering. A weak vessel cannot hold the divine. A strong, grounded vessel becomes a temple. The great work is not to float away into the ether, but to become a mountain, solid, stable, unshakable, to be so profoundly rooted in your own being, so connected to the earth beneath your feet, that you can withstand any storm. Your peace is no longer dependent on the weather, because you are not the leaves being blown about. You are the mountain upon which the weather happens. This is the power of earth. It is the quiet, immense strength of being fully here. It is the foundation that allows your branches to safely, gloriously reach for the sun. Having built our foundation on the stability of earth, danced with the fluidity of water, and harnessed the focused intensity of fire, we now arrive at the element that connects and permeates all others. It is the element that is both unseen and essential, the very medium in which we live and move. This is the element of air, and we experience it most intimately, most personally, through the sacred rhythm of the breath. If earth is our foundation, water our emotions, and fire our will, then the breath is the bridge that connects them all. It is the shuttle that weaves between the body and the mind, between the conscious and the unconscious, between our individual life and the life of the cosmos itself. The breath holds a unique and powerful position within our being. It is the only vital function that operates on a perfect, continuous loop between the automatic and the voluntary. You can go an entire day without once thinking about breathing. Your autonomic nervous system will dutifully keep the rhythm going. Yet, in any given moment, you can consciously choose to take control. You can make your breath deeper, shallower, faster, or slower. It is a biological toggle switch, a direct interface between your conscious intention and the deep, unconscious processes of your body. Because of this, the breath is the most honest mirror of your inner state. When your mind is scattered and anxious, your breath becomes shallow, rapid, and erratic. When your mind is calm and centered, your breath naturally becomes deep, slow, and rhythmic. This link is not a one-way street. While your mind affects your breath can also profoundly affect your mind. This is a secret of immense power. By consciously changing the pattern of your breath, you can directly alter the chemistry of your brain, calm your nervous system, and shift your entire emotional state in a matter of moments. The inner conflict here is a subtle one. It is the conflict between the habit of unconscious living and the choice of conscious presence. For most of our lives, we treat the breath as a background utility, ignoring it unless we are gasping for air. We allow the chaotic state of our minds to dictate a chaotic rhythm of survival breathing, keeping us in a low-grade state of stress. The conscious mind, addicted to its own dramas and distractions, resists focusing on the breath because the breath is simple, it is repetitive, and it is profoundly, unalterably present. The mind sees no problem to solve in the breath, no future to plan for, no past to regret. And so it finds the practice boring. This boredom is simply the ego's resistance to the calming, centering, ego-dissolving power of conscious breathing. To choose to focus on the breath is to choose presence over distraction, to choose peace over chaos. The core message of the element of air is this: your breath is your most loyal friend, your most portable anchor, and your most powerful tool for transformation. It is always with you, from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death. In any situation, no matter how chaotic or overwhelming, you can return to the anchor of your breath and find the present moment. It is the bridge. It connects your thinking mind to the feeling body. When you focus on the physical sensation of breathing, you are pulling your awareness out of the abstract world of thought and grounding it in physical reality. More profoundly, it is the bridge between your individual self and the universal whole. The air you draw into your lungs is the same air that rustles the leaves on the trees, the same air that has been breathed by saints and sages, the same air that connects all living beings on this planet. Each breath is a direct act of communion with the web of life. Let us explore some practical ways to befriend this powerful ally. The first and most fundamental practice is simply to become aware. Without trying to change anything, just notice your breath. Notice the sensation of the cool air entering your nostrils. Follow its path down into your lungs. Feel the gentle expansion of your chest and belly. Then, notice the pause, the point of stillness at the peak of the inhale. Now, follow the exhale out. Feel the warmer air leaving your body. Notice the surrender, the letting go. Notice the point of stillness at the bottom of the exhale. Simply watching this natural rhythm for a few moments, without judgment, begins to calm the entire system. You are stepping out of the frantic content of your mind and resting in the simple, repetitive process of life itself. Next, we can use structured breathing to actively shift our state. One of the most effective techniques is known as box breathing. It is simple, yet profoundly regulating for the nervous system. You can practice it now. Gently exhale all the air from your lungs. Now, inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, hold the breath at the top, gently, without straining, for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, hold the breath out at the bottom for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is one round. By repeating this cycle just a few times, you are sending a powerful signal to your brain and body that you are safe. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure lowers, and your mind becomes clearer. With these tools, you can now use the breath as your primary anchor in daily life. Whenever you feel yourself becoming lost in anxious thoughts, overwhelmed by a situation, or triggered by an emotion, let your first response be to return to your breath. Before you react, before you speak, before you spiral, simply take 3 conscious, deliberate breaths. Inhale deeply, exhale completely, 3 times. This simple act creates a sacred pause. It is a circuit breaker that interrupts the reactive pattern of the ego and gives you a moment to reconnect with the silent watcher, with your centered self. In that pause, you regain your power of choice. Consider the deeper metaphor of the breath. Every inhalation is an act of receiving. You are drawing in life, oxygen, energy, the universe itself. It is an act of nourishment, of filling yourself with presence. Every exhalation is an act of release. You are letting go of what is spent, of carbon dioxide, of tension, of old thoughts, of anything that no longer serves you. It is an act of surrender, of purification, of making space. Your life, in this moment, is a continuous, rhythmic dance between receiving and releasing. By bringing your awareness to this dance, you are aligning yourself with the fundamental rhythm of existence. You are learning to receive life fully and to let go of it gracefully. You are no longer holding your breath, waiting for life to happen. You are breathing with life, moment by moment. The breath is the thread that ties everything together. It is your bridge to the now. It is your tool for calm. It is your constant companion on this journey. Befriend it, honor it, and it will never fail you. Having laid the foundation of earth and learned to dance with the energies of water, fire, and air, we have become a more coherent and stable alchemical vessel. We have learned to manage our inner state. The inevitable next question is, how does this inner state relate to the world outside? How does the transformation within our laboratory affect the reality we experience? This brings us to a concept that is widely known but poorly understood, the law of attraction. We must now approach this law not as a magical trick for acquiring possessions, but as a profound and practical science of energy, the natural consequence of the inner work we have already undertaken. Much of the popular understanding of this law has been simplified to the point of falsehood. It is often presented as a cosmic catalogue from which you can order a new car, a perfect partner, or a winning lottery ticket simply by thinking positive thoughts and creating a vision board. This superficial approach is why so many become disillusioned. They try to paste positive affirmations over a deep, subconscious foundation of unworthiness, fear, and lack. They spend 5 minutes visualizing abundance and the other 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day living in a state of anxiety about their bills. This is like painting a smile on the face of a person who is weeping inside. The universe does not respond to the painted smile. It responds to the weeping. The subconscious, the feeling state, the dominant vibration of your being is infinitely more powerful than the fleeting thoughts of your conscious mind. This creates a frustrating inner conflict. The ego, with its impatient desire for external validation, wants to get stuff. It performs the rituals of manifestation, the affirmations, the visualizations as a means to an end. It is trying to manipulate the universe to get what it wants. But the soul is engaged in a much deeper, more patient work, the work of being. The conflict is between the frantic energy of getting and the calm, powerful energy of becoming. The frustration you may have felt when your manifestations didn't work was a sacred signpost, pointing you away from the futility of trying to control the outside world and toward the absolute power you have to master your inner world. Here is the core message, the truth that cuts through all the confusion. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The universe is not a personality that listens to your pleas or grants your wishes. It is a vast, impersonal field of energy that responds to resonance. Everything in the universe, including you, is vibrating at a particular frequency. Your state of being, which is the sum total of your deepest beliefs, your dominant emotional patterns, and your core assumptions about yourself and realities, broadcasting a specific vibrational signal 24 hours a day. This signal is your true prayer. The law of attraction is simply the law of resonance. The universe can only deliver to you experiences, people, and circumstances that are a vibrational match to the signal you are broadcasting. Think of yourself as a radio tower. You cannot broadcast on the frequency of lack, fear, and victimhood, 98.7 FM, and expect to receive the broadcast of abundance, love, and empowerment, 103.5 FM. It is a physical impossibility. The work of the alchemist is not to beg the radio station to play a different song. It is to go back to the tower and change the frequency you are broadcasting. The outer world is a perfect and impartial mirror. It does not judge you. It does not punish you. It simply reflects your inner condition back to you with flawless accuracy. If you look in the mirror and see a face contorted with anger, it is futile to yell at the mirror or try to physically wipe the anger off the reflection. You must change your own face. If you look out at your life and see lack, conflict, and disappointment, it is a loving, if painful, reflection of the state of lack, conflict, and disappointment that exists within you. The call to radical self-responsibility is to stop blaming the mirror and to begin the work of transforming the one who is being reflected. So how do we consciously change our broadcast? We shift our focus from thinking about what we want to feeling what it is like to already have it. This is the secret. If you desire abundance, do not just visualize piles of money. That is a mental concept. Instead, cultivate the feeling of abundance. What does abundance feel like in your body? It feels like ease. It feels like security. It feels like freedom. It feels like generosity. Can you generate the pure sensation of ease in your body right now, even if your bank account says otherwise? Can you embody the feeling of freedom while sitting in your chair? This practice of embodying the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the most potent form of alchemy. You are attuning your vibrational state to the reality you wish to experience before it has manifested. You are becoming a vibrational match. To do this effectively, you must first take an honest vibrational inventory. What is the background emotional music of your day? When your mind is idle, where does it naturally drift? To worry, to criticism, to gratitude, to peace? Be ruthlessly honest with yourself, without judgment. This is your current vibrational set point. This is the signal you are actually broadcasting. Once you are aware of it, you can begin to consciously choose a new state. This is done through the practice of living as if. If you wish to attract love, you must be loving. Behave as the person who is already cherished and adored. How would that person treat themselves? How would they treat others? They would likely not be needy or desperate. They would be whole, generous, and radiating love from a full cup. Embody that state now. If you wish to attract success, embody the feeling of confidence and competence today. Make decisions from that state. Interact with people from that state. This is not about faking it. It is about understanding that the state of being precedes the external manifestation. You must be it first, for the mirror of the world to reflect it back to you. This is the mature understanding of the law of attraction. It ceases to be a magic trick and becomes a deep spiritual practice. The focus moves entirely away from the external world and onto the inner landscape of your being. You realize that you already have everything you need to create the life you desire, because you have the power to choose your state of being in this very moment. The universe is not a vending machine you manipulate. It is a quantum field of potential that responds to your resonance. The great work then is not to chase after reflections in the mirror, but to become so absorbed in the work of polishing your own soul, of raising your own frequency, that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself around you, reflecting the newfound beauty, peace, and power of your transformed being. As we come to understand that the universe responds not to our words or wishes, but to our vibrational resonance, a critical question arises. How do we know what frequency we are broadcasting? How can we read the signal we are sending out into the quantum field? The answer is beautifully, elegantly simple. It lies in the language your soul uses to speak to you every second of every day. That language is emotion. To continue our alchemical work, we must move beyond the conventional understanding of emotions as mere psychological reactions and begin to perceive them as they truly are: pure, quantifiable, vibrational frequencies. For too long, we have been taught to categorize our emotions as good or bad. Joy, love, and peace are good, and we chase after them. Anger, sadness, and fear are bad, and we suppress, deny, or medicate them. This is a profound misunderstanding that has caused immense suffering. From an energetic perspective, emotions are simply indicators. They are energy in motion, or emotion. Each one carries a distinct vibrational signature. Emotions like shame, guilt, and fear vibrate at a very low, slow, and dense frequency. They feel heavy because they are heavy. They are a contraction of your life force energy. On the other end of the spectrum, emotions like gratitude, love, and joy vibrate at a very high, fast, and light frequency. They feel expansive because they are an expansion of your life force energy, your dominant emotional state, the feeling that constitutes your inner home basis, the primary factor determining the vibrational signal you broadcast. This new understanding places us at a crossroads. highlighting a deep inner conflict. The habitual way of being is to be a victim of our emotions. We are swept away by anger, we drown in sorrow, we are paralyzed by fear. In this mode, emotions are external forces that happen to us, and we are powerless in their wake. This is the path of emotional reactivity. The alchemical path, however, is one of emotional responsibility. It is the empowered stance that sees emotions not as our masters, but as our most trusted advisors. It is the shift from being thrown about by the emotional weather to becoming a skilled meteorologist who can read the signs and navigate accordingly. Here is the core message that will transform your relationship with your feelings forever. Your emotions are your internal guidance system. They are an infallible real-time indicator of your vibrational alignment. They are the compass of your soul. A so-called negative emotion is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are broken. It is a loving alarm bell. It is your higher self, your inner being, gently informing you the thought you are currently thinking, the story you are telling yourself, the focus you are holding is out of alignment with who you truly are and what you truly desire. Your current thought is creating a vibration that is pulling you away from your desired destination. That is all. It is pure, non-judgmental information. Conversely, a positive emotiona, feeling of ease, of interest, of joy is your guidance system confirming, yes, this line of thought, this focus, this activity is in alignment with your true self. You are headed in the right direction. Keep going. With this understanding, managing your emotional state ceases to be a chore and becomes the most exciting game you can play. The goal is not to eliminate negative emotions. That is impossible and undesirable, as they provide valuable contrast and guidance. The goal is to become adept at hearing their message and skillfully, deliberately, choosing a better feeling thought. This is the art of climbing the vibrational scale. It is unrealistic to expect to jump from a state of deep grief to ecstatic joy in a single bound. The vibrational gap is too wide. The true work is to simply reach for the next achievable rung on the ladder. If you are feeling despair, which is a state of powerlessness, even a feeling of anger can be a step up, because anger contains more energy and a sense of power. From anger, you might reach for blame. From blame, you might find your way to frustration. From frustration, you can climb to pessimism. From pessimism, you might find a glimmer of hopefulness. From hopefulness, you can reach for optimism. Each step is a deliberate choice to find a thought that feels just a little bit better, a little bit more relieving than the one before. This gentle, compassionate process is how you consciously manage your frequency. One of the most powerful tools for climbing this ladder is the gratitude pivot. Gratitude has one of the highest and purest vibrational frequencies available to us. When you find yourself caught in a downward spiral of negative emotion, the practice is to stop, interrupt the pattern, and deliberately find one single thing for which you can feel genuine, authentic gratitude. It does not have to be something monumental. It can be exquisitely simple. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the taste of a good cup of coffee, the solidness of the floor beneath your feet, the simple fact that your heart is beating and you are breathing. Find one thing, focus on it, and allow the genuine feeling of appreciation to wash over you. Gratitude is a vibrational reset button. It is impossible to hold the frequency of gratitude and the frequency of despair in your being at the same time. The gratitude will always win. To support this practice, you can become the curator of your own vibrational well-being. Create a vibrational toolkit or a joy list. Take some time to consciously identify the things that reliably make you feel good. What songs lift your spirits? What memories always make you smile? What places in nature make you feel at peace? Which people in your life make you feel expansive and loved? What activities like dancing, painting, walking, or playing with an animal bring you joy? Write this list down. Keep it accessible. This is your personal pharmacy of high-frequency remedies. When you feel your energy dipping, instead of passively letting it spiral down, you can proactively consult your list and choose an activity that will help you shift your state. Think of your emotional body as a magnificent grand piano. For most of your life, you may have let circumstances randomly bang on the keys, creating a discordant and chaotic noise. The alchemist learns that they are not the piano, they are the musician. Each emotion is a key. The low notes of sadness and the high notes of joy are all part of the instrument. You are the one who chooses which keys to press. You can learn to play a mournful sonata when the mood calls for it, and you can learn to play a triumphant anthem. With practice, you move beyond playing simple tunes and learn to create a rich, complex, and beautiful symphony. You are the artist, and your emotions are the vibrant colors on your palette. You are no longer afraid of the dark hues, for you know they are necessary to create depth and contrast for the brilliant, luminous colors of joy, love, and infinite possibility. As our understanding of the universe deepens, as we begin to grasp the reality of a responsive cosmos that mirrors our own vibrational state, we inevitably encounter the ancient and often misunderstood concept of karma. For many, this word is heavy, laden with feelings of fear, guilt, and a sense of inescapable cosmic debt. We see it as a system of divine punishment and reward, a cosmic ledger where all our misdeeds are tallied, awaiting a future retribution. This interpretation, while common, is a distortion of a profound and impersonal universal law. To continue our alchemical journey, we must strip away the layers of superstition and fear and see karma for what it truly is: the universe's perfect, elegant, and compassionate system of education. The fear-based view of karma positions you as a potential victim, forever anxious about a past mistake coming back to haunt you, or a karmic debt from a life you don't even remember coming due. It creates a psychology of spiritual anxiety, where good deeds might be performed not from a place of genuine love, but from a desire to balance the books or avoid future punishment. This entire framework is built on the illusion of a judgmental, external God or universe that operates like a cosmic courtroom. It keeps the power outside of you. It keeps you small, cautious, and afraid. The inner conflict is between this fear of a karmic sentence and the soul's deep yearning for freedom and empowerment in the present moment. It is the struggle between seeing yourself as a prisoner of your past and realizing you are the creator of your future. Let us now dismantle this prison. Karma is not a moralistic law of punishment. Karma is a neutral, physical, and spiritual law of cause and effect. It is as impersonal as the law of gravity. Gravity does not punish you for stepping off a cliff. It simply provides a consistent and predictable consequence for the action. In the same way, karma is the law of consequence applied to the realm of energy and consciousness. It simply states that every action, every word, and every thought you generate is a cause that sets off a ripple of energy in the unified field. And because you are part of that field, that ripple will, with unerring precision, eventually return to its source, you. It does not return to punish you. It returns to teach you. It returns to show you, in a tangible way, the nature of the energy you first created. Think of it as throwing a stone into a perfectly still pond. The stone is your intention, your action. The splash and the ripples that spread outwards are the immediate effects on the world. But inevitably, those ripples travel to the edges of the pond and are reflected back, eventually reaching the shore where you are standing. Karma is that returning ripple. If you throw a sharp, jagged rock of anger, the returning ripple will be turbulent and chaotic, showing you the quality of anger. If you cast a smooth, round stone of compassion, the returning ripple will be gentle and harmonious, showing you the quality of compassion. The universe is not judging the stone. It is simply a faithful body of water, reflecting the nature of your own throw back to you. The entire system is designed not for retribution, but for learning. Its ultimate purpose is to make you so aware of the consequences of your own energy that you become a fully conscious and responsible creator. This understanding shifts the focus entirely from fear of the past to empowerment in the present. Your point of power is always now. In every moment you are throwing a new stone into the pond. The most important factor is not the physical action itself, but the intention, the energetic frequency behind it. This is where you can practice becoming a good gardener of your own karma. Before you speak, before you act, especially in a situation of consequence, practice the intention check. Pause, even for a fraction of a second, and ask yourself, from where within me is this action coming? Is it arising from a place of fear, scarcity, anger, or a need to control? Is it a contraction? Or is it arising from a place of love, expansion, generosity, and a desire for the highest good of all? Is it an opening? This simple practice makes you aware of the seeds you are planting. You cannot plant seeds of anger and expect to harvest a crop of peace. The universe, like a faithful garden, does not work that way. It will simply grow what you have planted. With this knowledge, we can also understand the recurring, difficult patterns in our lives. Do you find yourself attracting the same kind of untrustworthy partner, the same kind of demanding boss, the same financial struggles over and over again? This is not a curse. This is karma in its teaching role. It is a recurring lesson. The universe is lovingly presenting you with the same energetic circumstance, a new final exam, to give you another opportunity to choose a different response. The karmic loop is not broken by changing the external situation by finding a new partner or a new job. The loop is broken when you change. It is broken when you consciously choose to respond with a different energy than you have before. Where you once responded with fear, you choose to respond with trust in yourself. Where you once responded with anger, you choose to respond with compassion and firm boundaries. The moment you offer a new causal energy, you break the cycle. The ripple you send out is different, and therefore the ripple that returns must also be different. The lesson is learned, and you graduate from that particular class. Most liberating of all is the understanding that you are not irrevocably chained to the karma of your past. The point of power is now. The actions you take today, from a higher state of consciousness, can create new, powerful ripples that can neutralize and dissolve the returning ripples from your past. An act of profound forgiveness, a genuine gesture of selfless service, a moment of embodying unconditional love. These are acts of high frequency, grace-filled energy. They are like dropping a massive, smooth boulder of light into the pond. The powerful, harmonious waves it creates can overwhelm and smooth out the smaller, discordant ripples from past actions. You clear your karma not by worrying about it, but by out-creating it with a more beautiful, more loving energy in the present. So release the heavy burden of karmic fear. See it not as a cosmic sentence, but as a divine curriculum designed for your own awakening. It is not a system of debt, but a flawless system of feedback. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to plant a better seed, to throw a more beautiful stone, to send a ripple of kindness out into the world. You are the gardener, you are the thrower, you are the creator, and the universe is your faithful partner, always showing you the truth of your own energy, patiently, lovingly, guiding you home to the master creator you were always meant to be. As we journey deeper into the alchemical laboratory of the self, a profound and unsettling process begins to take place. We have systematically questioned the nature of our minds, dismantled the structure of the ego, released our attachments to past and future, and redefined the very laws of reality. This is not a gentle intellectual exercise. It is a fundamental deconstruction of the person you thought you were. The inevitable consequence of such deep inner work is the dissolution of the old self. This stage of the journey is perhaps the most challenging, the most confusing, and the most terrifying. It is the sacred and necessary death of the caterpillar. For its entire life, the caterpillar knows only one reality. It crawls upon the earth. It consumes leaves. It grows. Its identity is clear. Its purpose simple. This is a metaphor for the ego self, the personality you have inhabited for most of your life. It is grounded in the material world. It consumes experiences. It identifies with its roles and its story. But then, a mysterious, undeniable impulse arises from within. An inner knowing calls it towards something more. It stops consuming. It seeks a quiet place, and it weaves a sanctuary around itself. It enters the chrysalis. This is the stage where you may now find yourself. You have answered an inner call. You have turned away from the world's distractions, and you have entered a period of profound introspection. Inside this chrysalis, a frightening transformation occurs. The caterpillar does not simply grow wings. It must first completely fall apart. Its entire structure, every cell and fiber of its being, dissolves into a rich, chaotic, nutrient-dense liquid. It becomes a formless, primordial soup. From the outside, nothing appears to be happening, but on the inside it is a total and complete disintegration. This is the most accurate metaphor for what can feel like a deep existential crisis or a dark night of the soul. As your old beliefs dissolve, as your ego structure weakens, everything that once gave you a sense of identity begins to crumble. Your career, which once felt so important, may now feel hollow. Your relationships, especially with those still deeply identified with the caterpillar reality, may become strained and distant. They no longer understand the language you are beginning to speak. The hobbies and distractions that once brought you comfort now feel empty. You are living in a liminal space, a sacred in-between. You no longer belong to the old world, but you have not yet fully arrived in the new. This can be a period of profound loneliness, confusion, and grief. The inner conflict at this stage is immense. There is a powerful, instinctual pull to break out of the chrysalis and go back to being a caterpillar. The caterpillar life, with all its limitations, was at least known. It was familiar. This formless soup is terrifying. The ego screams in protest, "You are losing everything. You are going crazy. Go back." You may feel an intense grief for the simpler, more defined person you used to be. You may long for the easy conversations, the shared goals, the sense of belonging that you have lost. This is the temptation to abandon the great work right at its most crucial juncture. It is the desire to choose a familiar prison over an unknown freedom. Here is the message you must hold on to like a lifeline in the dark. This dissolution is not a sign that you are failing. It is the ultimate sign that the alchemy is profoundly successful. You must trust the soup. This formless, chaotic state is the fertile ground from which your true self, the butterfly, will be born. Hidden within that primordial liquid are what biologists call imaginal cells. These are the seeds of the butterfly, the blueprint for your higher self, which have been dormant all along. In the caterpillar stage, the immune system attacks and destroys these cells, seeing them as foreign invaders. But inside the chrysalis, as the old structure dissolves, these imaginal cells begin to connect, to cluster, to organize, weaving the delicate wings, the new eyes, the slender legs of the butterfly from the very substance of the dissolved caterpillar. Your surrender is the raw material for your rebirth. To fight the disintegration is to fight the emergence of your own wings. So how do you navigate this sacred, terrifying process? First, you must give yourself radical permission to grieve. A death is occurring. The person you have been for decades is dying. It is natural and necessary to mourn that loss. Write a letter to your old self. Thank that version of you for protecting you, for getting you this far on the journey. acknowledge its fears and its strengths, and then, lovingly, say goodbye. This conscious act of release can free up immense energy. Second, you must honor your need for a chrysalis. This is not a time for excessive socializing or trying to explain your inner world to those who are not ready to hear it. It is a time for solitude, for quiet, for reducing external input. Give yourself a safe container, be it your home, your journal, or time in nature where this messy, sacred, and vulnerable process can unfold without judgment. And while solitude is crucial, you must also seek resonant company to remind you that you are not alone. Find your tribe of fellow travelers, even if only through the words of authors, poets, and mystics who have walked this path before you. Read their maps, listen to their stories. They will reassure you that this dark passage is a well-trodden one, a necessary initiation into a greater life. They will confirm that you are not going crazy. You are in fact becoming sane for the first time. Society has no framework for this process. It may label it a breakdown, depression, or a midlife crisis. Reframe it for yourself. It is not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough. The old false scaffolding is falling away so that a truer, more magnificent structure can be revealed. Hold this truth in your heart. You are in the chrysalis. It is dark. It may feel like the end of the world, but the blueprint of the butterfly is already within you. The wings are being woven from the threads of your courage and your surrender. The light you will one day fly in is being born from your willingness to sit patiently in the dark. Do not rush the process. Do not fear the dissolution. You are not falling apart. You are falling together. This is not an ending. It is the great, silent, sacred beginning. From the dark, silent, and fertile soup of the chrysalis, a new potential begins to stir. The old form of the caterpillar is gone, its identity dissolved, leaving behind a formless, potent void. A blank canvas now waits. This is a moment of pure creative power. Having surrendered what you were, you now face the sacred question, what will you become? The tool you will use to answer this question, the divine faculty with which you will weave the very fabric of your new reality, is your own imagination. In our modern, hyper-rational world, imagination has been tragically demoted. It has been relegated to the realm of children, artists, and idle daydreamers, our frivolous escape from the real world. This is perhaps the greatest lie we have ever been told. Your imagination is not an escape from reality. Your imagination is the very workshop in which reality is forged. It is the womb of creation, the preview of life's coming attractions. Every single man-made object you see around you, the chair you sit on, the device you are listening to, the building you are in, was first a sustained, disciplined image in someone's imagination. It had to be built in the mind before it could ever be built in the world. For your entire life, you have been using this immense creative power, but likely in an unconscious and undisciplined way. You have been using it to build worlds you do not wish to inhabit. When you worry, you are using your imagination. You are meticulously constructing a detailed, sensory-rich future scenario of failure, loss, or embarrassment, and you are emotionally living in it as if it were true. When you feel anxiety, you are using your imagination to produce a horror film in your mind, starring yourself, and your body reacts as if the threat were real. You are already an expert creator. You have simply been creating from a place of fear. The great work of the awakened alchemist is to reclaim this divine power, to wrest it from the clutches of fear and habitual negativity, and to begin wielding it consciously, deliberately, and lovingly in the service of your highest self. This reclamation sparks an inner conflict. The logical, skeptical part of your mind, conditioned by a materialist worldview, will rebel. It will tell you, this is just make-believe. You're just playing pretend. This isn't real. It demands external proof before it will believe. It wants to see the finished building before it will trust the architect's blueprint. This skeptical mind must be gently bypassed. It operates on the logic of the past. The creative self, your soul, operates on the logic of causation. It knows a deeper truth. Imagination is not the effect of reality, it is its cause. To imagine the end state with faith is to create the conditions that will lead to that end state. The core message is this: to create a new reality, you must first inhabit it in your imagination. The great mystical teachers of the ages, like Neville Goddard, understood this profound secret. He taught that a controlled and sustained act of imagination is a spiritual sensation, a direct communion with the creative power of the universe, or God. Your subconscious mind, the deep, feeling, non-rational part of you that controls your bodily functions and orchestrates the events of your life, cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physically real one. When you successfully create an imaginary scene and infuse it with the feeling of reality, your subconscious mind accepts it as a fact. It then begins to move heaven and earth, inspiring you with ideas, guiding your actions, and rearranging the circumstances of your life to bring about the physical manifestation of the reality you have accepted internally. So how do we practice this conscious creation? We do not simply daydream vaguely about a better life. We become disciplined architects of the inner world. The practice is to construct a short, specific, sensory-rich scene in your imagination, which implies that your desire has already been fulfilled. This is key. The scene must take place after the wish has been realized. If your desire is for healing, do not imagine the process of healing. Imagine a friend remarking on how wonderful and healthy you look. If your desire is for a successful creative project, do not imagine the hard work. Imagine the feeling of reading a rave review or of holding the finished product in your hands with a sense of profound satisfaction. Choose a short scene, just a few seconds long, that contains the essence of the fulfilled desire. Now, you must bring this scene to life. Immerse yourself in it with all of your senses. What do you see with your inner eye? What colors, shapes, and light are present? What do you hear? Is it the voice of a loved one congratulating you? Is it the sound of the ocean outside your dream home? What do you smell or taste? Most importantly of all, what do you feel? What is the dominant emotional tone of this scene? Is it relief, gratitude, joy, freedom? This feeling is the secret. The feeling is the vibrational signature that impresses the image upon the subconscious mind. A picture without feeling is a dead blueprint. A picture saturated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled is a living seed planted in the fertile womb of creation. The practice, then, is to enter a relaxed, receptive state often in the drowsy moments before falling asleep and to loop this short, sensory, feeling-rich scene over and over in your mind. Replay it as if it were a memory. Feel its reality. Dwell in the feeling state of gratitude and fulfillment. Do not strain or force it. Inhabit it gently, lovingly, until you drift off to sleep in the assumption that it is already so. You are planting the seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious, and as you sleep, it will begin to germinate, far from the prying eyes of your doubtful, conscious mind. Your imagination is the ultimate alchemical tool. It is the faculty that allows you to transmute the lead of your current reality into the gold of your highest potential. You are no longer the caterpillar, bound to the earth and a single leaf. You have passed through the dissolution of the chrysalis. Now, you stand at the threshold of a new reality. You are the butterfly, and with the power of your imagination, you are learning to paint the colors on your own wings. Dare to imagine beautifully. Dare to assume the feeling of your greatest dreams come true. For in the workshop of your mind, the worlds you will one day inhabit are being born right now. Having reclaimed the divine power of your imagination, you now stand as the architect of your reality, holding the blueprints for a new world. But this raises the most important question of all. Who is drawing the blueprints? From what source do your desires, your dreams, and your intentions arise? For the imagination to be a tool of profound and lasting fulfillment, it must be guided by a wisdom deeper than mere whim or conditioned wanting. We must now learn to distinguish between the intelligence of the head and the profound wisdom of the heart, and to create a sacred partnership between them. The head, your logical and analytical mind, is a magnificent and powerful tool. It is a biological supercomputer capable of calculating, reasoning, predicting, and organizing based on the vast database of your past experiences. Its primary function, handed down through millennia of evolution, is survival. It is constantly scanning for threats, assessing risk, and seeking certainty. Its entire operational framework is built upon the past. It can only create new combinations of what it already knows. When you ask your head what you should want, it will give you a logical answer based on what society values, what your parents taught you, or what has kept you safe and comfortable before. It is an excellent navigator, but a very poor captain. The heart, in this alchemical context, is not merely the organ that pumps your blood. It is the seat of a second, more profound intelligence. It is your connection to your soul, to the unified field, to the wisdom of the universe itself. The heart does not speak in the linear, logical language of the head. It speaks in the language of feeling, of intuition, of resonance, and of quiet knowing. It does not calculate, it feels. It does not analyze, it knows. The head asks, is this a safe or logical choice? The heart asks, does this choice make me feel expansive or contracted? Does this path feel resonant with my deepest truth? The guidance of the head is loud, often anxious, and demanding. The guidance of the heart is almost always a quiet, calm, steady whisper. For most of our lives, we have been conditioned to live entirely from the head. We are taught to praise logic and dismiss feeling, to trust data and doubt intuition. We have made the navigator the captain of our ship, and as a result, we find ourselves sailing in safe, predictable, and often deeply unfulfilling circles. The inner conflict is the battle between the head's loud demands for safety and certainty, and the heart's quiet invitation to a grand, mysterious, and uncertain adventure. It is the struggle between trusting the familiar map of the past and daring to follow the invisible compass of your own inner truth. Your head can only lead you to a better version of your past. Your heart can lead you to a future you can't even yet imagine. The core message is this: the head is a brilliant servant, but a tyrannical master. The heart is the true sovereign of your inner kingdom. The great work of this stage is to gently and lovingly dethrone the tyrannical head and restore the heart to its rightful place as the wise and benevolent ruler. This does not mean abandoning logic or critical thinking. It means creating a new inner hierarchy. The heart sets the destination. It whispers the what and the why of your life's purpose. Then, and only then, do you hand the destination to your brilliant mind and say, now, figure out the how. When the mind is in service to the heart, it becomes a powerful and focused tool for bringing the soul's deepest desires into reality. When your imagination is fueled by blueprints drawn by the heart, you are no longer just manifesting things. You are manifesting alignment, purpose, and a life that resonates with the very core of your being. How do we begin to listen to the heart when its voice is so quiet and the head's is so loud? We start by creating a state of coherence between them. Find a quiet moment. Place your hand over the center of your chest. Close your eyes and begin to breathe a little more deeply and slowly than usual. Imagine your breath is flowing into and out of your heart center. As you do this, consciously generate a feeling of appreciation, care, or gratitude. It could be for a person, a pet, a beautiful memory, or simply for the gift of your own life. Dwell in this elevated feeling for a few minutes. This practice has been shown to physically calm the anxious brain and create a harmonious signal throughout the body, allowing the subtle intelligence of the heart to emerge. From this state of heart-centered coherence, you can then ask a question about a decision or a path, and listen for the feeling, the quiet knowing, that arises in response. Next, you must learn to distinguish the voices. The voice of fear, which originates in the head, is almost always loud, urgent, repetitive, and complex. It brings a feeling of pressure and contraction in your body. It uses logic to justify why you should stay small and safe. The voice of intuition, the voice of the heart, is different. It is typically quiet, calm, and simple. It often comes as a single, clear thought, a hunch, or a gentle nudge that feels neutral or expansive. It does not try to justify itself with a long, logical argument. It is a simple, peaceful truth. Learning to discern between these two requires practice, like tuning a radio. You must learn to turn down the volume on the loud static of the fearful mind to hear the clear, quiet signal of your heart. The heart often guides you not with a grand master plan, but with a trail of breadcrumbs. These are the small, joyful, intuitive nudges you feel throughout your day. A sudden urge to visit a particular bookstore, to call an old friend, to sign up for a class that has nothing to do with your career, but simply sparks your curiosity. The logical mind will often dismiss these nudges as frivolous or unproductive, but the heart knows they are the next step on your true path. The practice is to learn to trust and act on these small inspirations, even when they don't make logical sense. Each time you follow a breadcrumb of joy, you are telling the universe you trust its guidance, and it will respond by leaving you another, and then another. Following this trail is how you allow your heart to lead you to destinations more wonderful than your head could have ever planned. This is the beginning of living a magical life. It is a life where you are co-creating with the universe in a beautiful, flowing dance. It is the integration of the divine partners within you, the infinite wisdom of the heart as your guide, and the brilliant power of the mind as your loyal and effective servant. When your actions in the world are born from this sacred inner union, they are imbued with a power and grace that cannot be achieved through force of will alone. You stop fighting your way through life and start being gracefully, powerfully led. Place your hand on your heart. Quiet your mind. And for the first time, perhaps, truly listen. It has been waiting your entire life to guide you home. As you learn to live from the heart, allowing its quiet, intuitive wisdom to guide your imagination and your actions, a final and most profound transformation begins to occur. The very walls of the self begin to thin. The rigid boundary that the ego has maintained between me and not me starts to become porous, transparent, and ultimately illusory. The sense of being a small, isolated individual, a fragile fragment adrift in a vast and indifferent cosmos, gives way to a dawning awareness of profound connection, a sense of belonging not just to a family or a tribe, but to the totality of existence itself. This is the journey's final frontier. It is the ascent to the highest peak of consciousness, from which you can finally see the truth that dissolves all other truths, the reality of oneness. The deepest wound of the human condition, the source of all our fear, conflict, and loneliness, is the illusion of the separate self. From the moment we learn to say I, we begin to build a fortress around this identity. We spend our lives defending its borders, promoting its interests, and fearing its annihilation. This feeling of being a separate entity, a skin-encapsulated ego, forces us into a state of perpetual competition and anxiety. We need to get mine. We need to protect ourselves from them. We feel a fundamental alienation from other people, from nature, and from the universe at large. This sense of separation is the root of all suffering, and yet our every sensory experience seems to confirm it. I am in this body, you are in that one. My thoughts are private, yours are unknown to me. The entire edifice of our logical mind is built upon this foundation of duality. This creates the final and most profound inner conflict of the spiritual journey, the war between the evidence of our senses and the dawning intuition of our soul. The mind looks out and sees billions of separate beings, a world of division and difference. The heart, in its deepest moments of stillness and love, feels an undeniable, illogical, and mysterious connection to all things. It is the ultimate battle between the illusion of form and the truth of consciousness. Here is the truth that awaits you at the summit. You are not a drop of consciousness floating in the ocean of existence. You are the entire ocean of existence condensed into the form of a single drop. The great mystics of all traditions have pointed to this same singular realization. You are not a creation of God. You are a point through which God, or universal consciousness, is experiencing itself. The sense of a separate you is a temporary, localized perspective, a beautiful and unique mask that the one infinite consciousness is wearing for a time. But it is never, for one moment, separate from the one who is wearing it. Consider the metaphor of a great ocean. The surface of the ocean is teeming with billions of individual waves. Each wave has a unique shape, a unique trajectory, a specific lifespan. One wave may be large and powerful, another small and gentle. From the perspective of the wave, it might feel like a separate entity, competing with other waves, fearing the moment it will crash upon the shore and die. But is the wave ever truly separate from the ocean? Is it not, in its very essence, made of nothing but ocean water? Its waviness is a temporary form, but its fundamental nature is, and always has been, the vast, unified ocean itself. When the wave crashes on the shore, it does not cease to exist. It simply relinquishes its temporary form and merges back into the wholeness of its true identity, ready to arise again in a new form. You are that wave. Your personality, your body, your life story is the temporary form. Your true, immortal nature is the ocean of pure, undifferentiated consciousness. How can we begin to experience this truth, to move it from an intellectual concept to a lived reality? We start by observing the very sense of I. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Strip away all the labels you have attached to yourself. Let go of I am a man or I am a woman. Let go of your name, your profession, your roles as a parent or a child. Let go of I am smart, I am anxious, I am spiritual. Peel away every layer of description until you are left with only the raw, pure, naked feeling of existence itself, the simple background sensation of I am. Feel that. This pure I amness, before any story is attached to it, is not personal. It is the same feeling of existence that animates every other conscious being. This is the signature of the one universal consciousness within you. By resting in this pure sense of being, you are touching your true universal identity. We then extend this awareness outward. This is the practice of Namaste in its truest sense. When you look at another person, look past the personality, the body, the role they are playing. Look into their eyes and try to see the same light of consciousness, the same I am-ness that exists within you. Silently, in your own heart, acknowledge it. The consciousness in me recognizes and honors the same consciousness in you. When you do this with a stranger, a loved one, or even someone with whom you are in conflict, the illusion of otherness begins to dissolve. You realize you are not dealing with a separate, alien entity. You are dealing with yourself, wearing a different mask. In this recognition, fear gives way to compassion, and judgment gives way to understanding. Spend time in nature and observe its seamless interconnectedness. A forest is not a collection of separate trees. It is a single, vast organism connected by an underground network of roots and fungi, sharing nutrients and information. The tree is not separate from the soil, the sun, or the rain. They are all part of one unified process. See that you too are a part of this web. The air you breathe out is breathed in by the plants. The water you drink has been part of clouds, rivers, and oceans. Your body itself is composed of stardust, forged in the hearts of long-dead stars. The separation you feel is a fiction of the mind. The reality is one of profound, unbreakable intimacy with all of life. Think of the one, pure white light of consciousness passing through a prism. The prism breaks the light into a beautiful spectrum of colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Each color is unique and distinct. The red is not the blue, but are they separate? Number. They are all expressions of the one single source of white light. We are those colors. Our personalities are unique, our expressions are different, but our source is one and the same. To awaken to oneness is to stop identifying as a single color and to remember that you are the entire spectrum and ultimately the pure, uncolored light itself. This realization is the end of the search. It is the end of loneliness. It is the end of the fundamental fear of death. For if you are the ocean, how can you fear the dissolution of a single wave? You understand that nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. The game of life continues, the play of forms goes on, but you are no longer lost in the drama. You are the silent, loving awareness that holds it all, that dreams it all into being. You are not a lonely fragment seeking wholeness. You are wholeness itself, pretending for a little while to be a fragment. This is the peace that passes all understanding. This is coming home. Having journeyed to the highest peak of awareness and recognized your true nature as the one boundless consciousness, the final stage of the alchemical great work begins. This stage is not another arduous climb, but a graceful return to the valley. We are not meant to remain in a state of transcendent abstraction on the mountaintop. The ultimate purpose of the journey is to bring the boundless sky of that realization down to the solid earth of our everyday lives. It is the full integration of the divine and the human. It is the embodiment of the awakened alchemist. So who is this figure? Let us first be clear about who they are not. The awakened alchemist is not a perfect human being, free from problems or pain. They are not a serene, emotionless statue, untroubled by the vicissitudes of life. They do not walk in a golden bubble, immune to loss, heartbreak, or failure. The storms of the world still blow in their life. The difference is that they have become the eye of the storm. They have discovered the unshakable stillness within, and from that center, they meet all of life's experiences not as a victim, but as a conscious and masterful creator. The old primary inner conflict, the war between the fearful ego and the loving soul, has ended. The civil war is over. In its place is not a static peace, but a dynamic, creative dance. It is the dance between their finite human personality and their infinite divine consciousness. They fully embrace their humanity with all its beautiful quirks, vulnerabilities, and limitations. But they are no longer solely identified with it. They know they are the ocean, choosing to experience itself for a little while as a unique and precious wave. The awakened alchemist has fully integrated the lessons of the elements. They embody the fluidity of water, no longer resisting what is, but moving with a graceful and intelligent surrender. They command the focused intensity of fire, applying their will and discipline to create with purpose and love. They are rooted in the stability of earth, fully present and grounded in their body and in the moment, an unshakable force of calm. They have befriended the air, using the breath as a constant bridge to the now, a tool to regulate their state and maintain their center. They have moved beyond the superficial idea of the law of attraction, for they understand it is the law of resonance. They are no longer focused on getting things from the world, because they are absorbed in the work of being the state from which those things are a natural byproduct. The world has become a faithful mirror, and they take full responsibility for the reflection they see, knowing it is born from within. They see karma not as a threat of punishment, but as the universe's elegant feedback system, a curriculum for learning. They have reclaimed the power of their imagination, consciously using it to build inner worlds of beauty and grace, knowing that these are the blueprints for their outer experience. They have learned to lead from the heart, trusting its quiet, intuitive wisdom over the loud, fearful calculations of the head. And finally, they rest in the profound, unshakable peace of oneness, knowing that there is no other to fear or resent, for they are intimately connected to all of life. The greatest transformation is this: their consciousness itself has become the philosopher's stone. In ancient lore, the philosopher's stone was the legendary substance that could turn any base metal, like lead, into pure gold. The awakened alchemist no longer needs an external stone, for their own aware presence has become the catalyst. Any experience that enters their field, a challenge, a conflict, a moment of pain, a difficult emotion, is no longer seen as lead. It is simply raw material. When this raw material is touched by the light of their non-judgmental, loving awareness, it is automatically, effortlessly transmuted into the gold of wisdom, compassion, and deeper understanding. The practice, for the alchemist, is no longer a set of exercises to be performed. The practice is life itself. Their primary mode of being is to live an ordinary life in an extraordinary way. Washing the dishes is no longer a chore. It is a moving meditation on the purifying quality of water, a moment of gratitude for nourishment. A difficult conversation is not a conflict to be won. It is an opportunity to practice compassion, to see the one consciousness wearing another mask, to hold a space of loving presence. They are not striving to get anywhere, because they know they have already arrived. They are here, now, and the now is the only place where life, God, and reality can ever be found. Their service to the world is not necessarily through grand gestures or loud pronouncements. Their greatest service is their very presence. By embodying a state of inner peace and coherence, they become a stabilizing force in the chaotic energy field of the world. They are the calm person in the frantic meeting, the non-reactive presence in a family argument. Their peace is contagious. Their clarity silently gives others permission to find their own. They teach not by what they say, but by who they are. They have learned to live comfortably in the heart of paradox. They are passionately engaged in the play of life, yet completely detached from the results. They act with all their might, and then surrender the outcome to the universe with an open hand. They are profoundly unique as individuals, yet know themselves to be one with everything. They are both the wave and the ocean, the actor and the theater, the dreamer and the dream. The great work of alchemy is not about achieving a final, static state of perfection. It is about becoming a masterful artist of life. The awakened alchemist is no longer fighting their materials. They are no longer struggling with their instrument. They have learned to dance with reality, to move in harmony with the great symphony of the cosmos. Life ceases to be a problem to be solved or a battle to be won. It becomes a masterpiece to be created, a mystery to be lived, and a dance to be enjoyed. The journey inward has led you all the way back to the world, but you return transformed, seeing not with your old eyes, but with the eyes of the universe itself, looking upon its own creation with wonder, humor, and unconditional love. The laboratory is no longer a secret in a room. The entire world is your laboratory now. And the great work continues, not as work, but as divine, joyful play. We began our journey together in a quiet, ancient room, drawn from the fog of a noisy world to sit before a single, steady flame. In the beginning, you were a cautious visitor, observing this light, this flame of your own consciousness, as something mysterious and separate from you. You have traveled far since then. You have walked through the echo chamber of your mind and faced the shattered mirror of the ego. You have lifted the anchor of the past and dissolved the mirage of the future. You have learned the wisdom of the elements to flow like water, to act with the focus of fire, to find your stability in earth, and to connect to all of life through the air of your breath. You have journeyed through the dark, fertile dissolution of the chrysalis and have emerged, remembering the creative power that is your birthright. Now, return to this inner room, but you do not return as a visitor. You return as the master of the laboratory, the keeper of the flame. Look at the fire now. You understand its nature. You know that its light is the light of pure awareness, and its heat is the transformative fire of acceptance. You know that any material from your life, any piece of lead, be it fear or pain or confusion, can be placed within this fire, and it will be transmuted into the pure gold of wisdom and compassion. This laboratory is always here. This fire is always burning within you. Everything you need, you already have. The journey was never about becoming someone else. It was about unbecoming everything that was not you, so you could finally recognize the master alchemist you have always been. Do not look outside of yourself for a savior or a guide. The world does not need another seeker. It needs more finders. It needs those who have found the unshakable peace and silent power that resides at their own core. From this day forward, let your life be your art, your masterpiece. Meet every moment with the tools you have cultivated. When chaos swirls, find your center. When pain arises, meet it with the heat of your acceptance. When beauty appears, receive it with the fullness of your presence. The great work is no longer a struggle. It is the graceful, moment-to-moment practice of living from the truth of your own being. The work is not to seek the light, but to bring your own fire. The universe is not waiting for your request. It is waiting for your resonance. Begin.